Welcome to the 2018 ACC Indoor Track and Field Championships. I'm Sean Kenny, and today, blood, sweat, and tears all paid off with the ultimate reward, ACC glory.
I'm Dan O'Brien. The Super Sweep does really exist, and it could happen twice today, in the men's pole vault and the men's hurdles.
I'm David Mitchell. The distance races are going to be hot, and all the distance runners are going to love to hear the sound of the bell.
I'm Hannah Yates, and I'll be trackside with the champions.
This is the ACC Network Extra on ESPN. A good look inside the Clemson Indoor Track and Field Complex, Clemson, South Carolina, as we get set for the finale, the final chapter of this year's Indoor Track and Field Championships for the ACC. Once again, good afternoon. Sean Kenny alongside Olympic gold medalist Dan O'Brien. David Mitchell is with us in the booth. Hannah Yates is trackside. We jump right into the finals. The first event today is the women's 60-meter hurdles. Take a look at the championship field. Gabby Cunningham in lane 1 for North Carolina State. Marquita Thomas in lane 2. McKenna Miami, Courtney Jones, the veteran, in lane 4 for Florida State. Williams, Thorpe, Thevenin, and Stewart, lanes 5 through 8.
Well, Gabrielle Cunningham in lane 1 from North Carolina State was a very busy young lady yesterday, competing in 3 events. See her there in lane 1, but the 2 fastest times coming into the finals, Courtney Jones and Janine Williams in the middle of the track. They both ran 8:12 yesterday.
Jones was an All-American last year in the 100-meter hurdles outdoors, and we are underway. Early lead for Georgia Tech in the middle. Here comes Jones of Florida State. Neck and neck.
8:05, that is extremely fast.
Janine Williams of Georgia Tech. 100th of a second faster than Courtney Jones of Florida State. Williams at 8:04, Jones for the Seminoles at 8:05. Well, the career year for Janine Williams continues from Kingston, Jamaica.
Well, she's having a great indoor season, and she just got a better start than Courtney Jones. Courtney Jones made a heck of a run at the end, but Janine was able to hold her off. Man, Courtney Jones came on strong in that last hurdle, but just smart running by Williams from Georgia Tech.
Two-time ACC Performer of the Week this year. She's been at least first or second in every 60 hurdles event this year, and she closes out with an ACC championship. Williams of Georgia Tech, the Ramblin' Wreck rolling early at 8:04. Jones of Florida State second. Tiara McMinn of Miami third at an 8:17.
What a start to a great day of finals here. Those ladies set the stage for some more great action coming up.
That is 53 feet, 8 1/2 inches.
Good look at our first ACC champion of the day in the running events with Janine Williams. As we take one more look at it, Dan, just an explosive start for Williams, which proved to be the key.
Yeah, she got the edge, and the best place in the hurdles is you want to be out front. You stay clear of all the traffic. She does a really great job. You see her right arm going early into the hurdle. She does a great job of anticipating that next hurdle. And I learned the hurdle from guys like Alan Johnson and Roger Kingdom, guys like that, and they always said you got to be one hurdle ahead in your mind, anticipating those movements. She does a very good job of hurdling early, which keeps her balanced, and she was able to hold off the really strong challenge by Courtney Jones there at the end. Not a lot of bright spots here for Georgia Tech at these championships from a team standpoint, but these individual championships really make a big difference when your team is not in the running to win that team title.
Williams yesterday qualified with an 8:12. Today, an ACC championship time of 8:04. A lot happening third and final day inside the Clemson Indoor Track and Field facility. The men's 60-meter hurdles finals coming your way next. The men's 60-meter hurdles coming up next. Just getting underway from Clemson, third and final day of the ACC Indoor Track and Field Championships. This men's event the last couple of years has had a Syracuse twist. Freddie Crittenden to third, your championship record holder with his championship time a year ago at 7.65. And Dan, 4 more orange in the finals this year.
Well, we talk about the impact that somebody like Shaquema Wembley would have on Miami when she, was so successful there. The same thing I really think goes for Syracuse. You see that in the distance running and certainly the hurdles. Freddie Crittenden the third, he was a very successful Orangeman, I want to say, but they're just the orange now. We saw him at the national level. We surely see his footprint at the conference level. And what do you know? They got 4 guys in the finals here, and that's really unheard of in an 8-man race.
Angelo Goss, Richard Floyd, Matt Moore, David Gilstrap. Strong contingency of the orange in this 60-meter hurdles event. The fastest time yesterday was by the Syracuse senior Goss, who clocked in at a 7.77.
And that actually started with Jared Eaton there at Syracuse, winning the NCAA title. He just won the USATF senior title this past weekend, and he brought that in as a tradition there.
We have our first champion trackside. Let's say hello, good afternoon to Hannah Yates.
I have Janine, the winner of the women's 60-meter hurdles, a final time of 8:04. Janine, you had an explosive start. How did that give you momentum throughout the race?
Yesterday my start wasn't that great, but I decided if I work on my start, I know that I'll be good for the rest of the race.
You were the favorite heading into this race. How did that give you confidence?
Well, I was a little nervous because, everybody expects you to be great because, you're the favorite, but I just went with it.
Thank you very much. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Janine Williams, the junior, your ACC champion in the 60 hurdles. And now let's find out who will be crowned the champ on the men's side. Let's meet some of the competitors. We talked about Goss. He's made an impact immediately this year for the Orange after a transfer from Alabama. In just his second race this year with Syracuse, he posted the nation's 4th fastest time in this event. Dickens of Florida State, lane 1. Floyd of Syracuse, Goss of Syracuse, Moore and Gilstrap. Trey Cunningham will try to spoil that orange party from Florida State. Keyshawn Limehouse, he's a talented sophomore, 9th fastest indoor time this year. He'll be in lane 7.
Well, and we saw Limehouse in some of the short sprints yesterday. Kirk Lewis, keep an eye on lane 3. He was second at these championships last year, and a lot of these Clemson athletes have really built on this home field advantage. Big crowds for them here. We're seeing that in some of the field events. Clemson runners have been running very well here, so keep an eye on lane 3.
Lewis, a junior college transfer. He was an All-American at the National Junior College ranks in 2015 at Essex Community College, and he has blossomed here at Clemson the past couple of years. Can he bring an ACC title in front of this home crowd?
Yeah, it's interesting. In the middle of the track, a freshman versus a senior. Cunningham of Florida State, just a freshman. This is an event that experience definitely will serve you well.
Cunningham, a freshman, a 24-time Alabama state champion. Just a laurel of accolades from his high school career that he's brought to Raleigh. Gun up, and we're underway. Men's 60-meter finals. In lane 6 with the lead is Matt Moore. Here comes the speed up the center, and a championship for Florida State. Trey Cunningham. Just talking about this young man and the impressive resume that he built at Winfield High School, and in his first year, he has an ACC title.
770.
That puts him at number 5 in the country.
Number 5 in the country, 770. Fantastic running. We talk about, it's the ignorance of being a freshman. He doesn't know he's supposed to be nervous. He doesn't know that, some of these guys have more experience than them. You see him in the middle of the track. Great trail arm. You see that left arm going around that left leg. He just ran quicker in between as well. It wasn't beautiful hurdling, but it was nice and fast and crisp in between those hurdles.
He did set the world indoor junior record over the 39-inch hurdles, but he's made the transition to these higher 42-inch hurdles amazingly well.
Trey Cunningham, the true freshman, wins the ACC gold. 7.70. Matt Moore of Syracuse second. Kirk Lewis of Clemson earns the bronze, a 7.79. As Florida State hurdling class. They were so excited to land Trey Cunningham. In fact, on National Signing Day, there was a large crowd at Winfield High School. As everybody entered the atrium, they were encouraged to pick a sticker. One of 4 school stickers. They had Florida State, Alabama, South Carolina, and Stanford. And then at the end of the press conference, he pulled out the Florida State sticker, and the Seminoles certainly happy to have Mr. Cunningham. A freshman and an ACC champion for the Noles. Back with more from the 2018 ACC Indoor Championships right after this. Back with you inside the Clemson Indoor Track and Field Complex. Early happenings from Clemson. The 60 hurdles are done. Georgia Tech, Florida State hosting the first 2 golds of our coverage today as this women's race coming in to this 3-day championship weekend. It was wide open. Everybody was chasing Miami, the Hurricanes, the 2-time defending champs, but behind a strong contingent of field event performances, Louisville right now, your leader, Dan.
Well, no surprise, they're very strong in the field events, and they're bound to get another 10 points from Imani Henderson in the women's shot put. But the question is, where are they in terms of the running events? How many people did they get through the finals? And they didn't get a lot through. So they're probably not going to score well there. We're going to see a big push today, certainly, and David can tell us more from Virginia Tech in those middle distances.
Virginia Tech is definitely ready to go. They're in the finals. They're seated high in the 800 and the mile, multiple people in the 3K as well. Louisville has a great shot. A bit of a surprise, Dorcas Wasike winning the 5K yesterday, overcoming some of the more experienced athletes. She's just a freshman, and she's probably going to be a big scorer again in the 3K for Louisville.
The Cardinals with 68 points. North Carolina quietly having a nice 3-day championship run. They're sitting at 43. Florida State with the 40 points on the women's side. Let's go back down to Hannah Yates. She's standing by with Trey Cunningham.
Trey, you were just telling me that you've been in a little bit of a slump. Obviously not anymore, winning the men's 60 meters hurdle, a final time of 7:70. How did you prepare mentally heading into this race?
I mean, it was just more so focusing on my own race instead of focusing on the competition around me. So, I mean, allowing myself to focus on my only lane, it just let me go a few hundredths faster to win this final.
You're a true freshman. What did you learn yesterday that you implemented into today?
It was just technical stuff that I needed to work out, and obviously we worked it out a little bit, so all worked out.
How fast is this Clemson track for you?
Oh, this Clemson track is one of the fastest tracks I've ran on all year. I mean, I've ran on impeccable tracks like the track at Arkansas, the Armory in New York. I mean, they're all fast, but this one's a little special.
Thank you very much. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And David, Hannah brings up a good point with Cunningham, the champion. This track is known for fast times. It's proven it time and time again.
It is. We've had some amazing performances here this year. In the hurdles alone, Grant Holloway setting the collegiate record at 7:42. Kenny Harrison here running 7:72 to equal Lolo Jones' American record earlier, since been broken. Terrific performances, including a world record at the time by Christian Coleman in the 60 dash.
Well, let's catch everybody up on the second field event that got underway here today. Your leader in the triple jump, Jeremiah Scott of Clemson. He only came into this meet third ranked, a senior. He had a big jump in the second round, 16:37, 53.8. It was a facility record and a personal best for him. Jeremy Green. Jordan Scott in second position from Virginia, 16:24, 53.3.5. And your favorite coming in, Armani Wallace, has been having some difficulties. He's jumped 4 times and he's had 3 fouls. But this is Jeremiah Green's second attempt, 16:37, 53.8. Look at him bounce. His final phase almost takes him to the very edge of the runway, and he knew it. He knew it when he hit it. And that was earlier in the second round, and here we get a chance to see Zay Pascal. He's in 7th position. From North Carolina, just a junior, his best jump of the day, 15:34, 50 feet 4. He's going to need at least 50 feet 9 to improve up to the next position. But disappointing jumping for Armani Wallace and Florida State Seminoles. 4 jumps today. He's only got 1 fair jump, and it was enough to get him into the finals. But this was your 2-time ACC champion last year. He won indoors and he won outdoors, and he won the long jump outdoors. So he was your co-field MVP of last year's outdoor championships. I know Florida State's really counting on those points, but God, Jeremiah Green, just another one of those Clemson athletes, David, that just has come in here and taken advantage of the home field atmosphere and such great crowds and the support here.
They really have been shining. They've been running well to get through to finals. The field event performers have been coming through. That's another personal best there for Green. He's had a very consistent season, but to pop out with his best one right here, couldn't have any better timing than that.
This is Montel Nevers. He's in 4th position. We had 2 flights. Top 9 went to the finals. Our top 9 jumpers who made the final: Ashton Butler, Preston Smith, Zay Pascal, Devin Valentine, Daryl Shaw, North Carolina, Montel Nevers, who we just got a look at, and this is your conference leader, and he sits in 3rd position right now, Armani Wallace.
That jump for Jeremiah Green at 16:37 actually places him at number 2 in the nation, just behind Keandre Bates of Florida. So that's not only a personal best, but that's big on the national stage.
Armani Wallace knows he needs to get on the board. Struggled with his steps a little bit, but just playing it a little too fast and loose. He wants a big jump. Oh, and another red flag for Wallace.
Wallace at 16:19, is actually equaling his season best. They had him ranked number 7 in the country. So Green is just pushing them to try to extend beyond what they've been able to do.
Well, Wallace, big guy, loping stride, just playing fast and loose with that board. When you're as good as Wallace, though, you need to play it a little bit safe. Good jump, might have been enough to take him into the lead, but when a jump like that, I see the red flag go up, my eyes immediately go to the coach, and his coach is just beside himself because he knows it was good enough to move him up at least to 2nd position. This is your 2nd position jumper, Jordan Scott of Virginia, 16:24 in the 2nd round, 53.3. He's had a good series, but his best jump in the 2nd round. Oh, and that's a monster that's going to be called a foul as well.
And Scott came in ranked number 10. That 16:24 has moved him up to equal number 7. So great jumping going on down here.
Well, the triple jumps, one of the most demanding field events when it comes to timing. God, these athletes are just running full speed, but you see how close to the end of the runway that he gets. Athletes really know how good those jumps are going to be, kind of based on where they're at in relation to that last step near the sand. And here's your leader. He's jumping well, so why not just keep jumping? 16:15 in the 1st round, 53 even, 16:30 37. Then he had a foul in the 3rd. Oh, and another good one for Green. 15:75 in the 4th round. He'll be your leader with only 1 jump remaining for these last 9 competitors. Just like his attitude, he's really energetic. Really, since the beginning of the competition, he's just put a spark into this competition. It's a little bit quiet. The building hadn't filled in when this event started, and he brought some real energy to the building. We'll wait for the mark.
In his 16:37 from earlier, number 2, Keandre Bates at 16:48. He does improve to 16:39, just improves his standing as the 2nd best jumper in the country right now.
We turn our attention now to the pole vault. This is an area that Virginia Tech is loaded. The Hokies can make up some serious ground if their stars perform.
Well, the top 3 guys coming in were Deacon Valtz, Torben Leydig. Those guys went 1-2 At the indoor conference at the ACC championships last year, Joel Benitez is a freshman. He comes in as the number 3 jumper, and the number 4 jumper for Virginia Tech is a decathlete. Jalen DeMori, we saw his jump. It wasn't pretty, and honestly, that looked like a decathlete's style there, decathlon jump. But he got done with the heptathlon yesterday, and it's only 7 events. You feel good enough, come out here, try to get some points. Try to get some points in the pole vault. And the competition started at 4.50 meters. It'll go up 15 centimeters through 4.80 meters, and then it will go 10 centimeters following that. So we have 4.50, 4.65, 4.80, 4.90, 5 meters, 5.10, and so on. Your leader in the early going here, over 15.9, Hunter Millard. And this is Sam Young from Virginia, a lefty. It's always interesting to see left-handed athletes in the sport of track and field, guys. And I'm not sure why it's so surprising, because we see it in a lot of other sports. But track and field just doesn't seem to be set up for left-handers. And when I say that, you go out to the hammer circle, you go out to the discus ring. They're all the big rings are set up for right-handers, and just don't see a lot of left-handed pole vaulters. That was Shaw, North Carolina. We're in the 6th round of the triple jump. Let's take a look at those results, see if he can move up a little bit.
Coach was very excited. I'm not sure if it was excited for what might have been.
This is Daryl Shaw. He's in 5th position. Back to the vault with another Tar Heel. Early going here in the pole vault. We're bound not to see those really good Virginia Tech vaulters till 5 meters 10, 5 meters 20, around 17 feet. We saw a couple of young ladies from Virginia Tech score those points in the women's pole vault.
Dan, what do you think it is they're doing right there at Virginia Tech with their vaulters?
Well, when you've got a coach that's been there 34 years and had as much success as he's had, you begin to create a pole vault conference dynasty. And I asked him earlier today, I said, are you finding good vaulters, or are you creating them? And one of the assistant coaches said, we're doing both. It helps to get young athletes, especially the nation's best athletes, some of the better jumpers from Europe to come over, young talent that you can coach into great athletes. But you gotta build them. There's a few good pole vaulting programs here in the United States. University of Arkansas women have been very successful. UCLA women. There's a good pole vaulting going on at the University of Oregon. Brad Walker, now at Washington State University, he just created a U.S. champion, young lady, who's up there training with him. So, there's certain places you go to sprint, there's certain places you go to vault, and right now Virginia Tech is one of those places you go to vault.
You see the defending champion on that graphic with the Hokies. They have some work to do, but when you talk about the team scoring today, if you're new to track and field in the ACC championships, realistically, the Hokies are looking at a situation where they could score 24 points in one event if their 3 vaulters perform as expected. So you're going to see those team scores vary throughout the course of the day, and they can turn on the whim of a dime.
They've got 3 men in the mile final, including defending champion Vincent Ciotti. So potential for big points there as well.
This is A. Pascal, North Carolina Tar Heel, just a junior, 6th and final round. And that's what you're always looking for. Show me the white flag. Show me that white flag. A handful of officials sitting right there at the board.
We'll take a break here from Clemson. Don't go anywhere. Some of the best triple jumpers in the ACC getting ready to launch as our coverage continues right after this. Armani Wallace of Florida State, the junior, getting ready, trying to get this crowd fired up as everybody is chasing a Clemson Tiger. Field event coverage from day 3 of the ACC Indoor Track and Field Championships, and what a day for Jeremiah Green, the Alabama transfer, leading the way for the Tigers, the 2004 SEC triple jump champion, now trying to win one at the ACC level for the home cooking Clemson Tigers.
Well, Armani Wallace needs to get on the board. I think the coaches played it really safe with him, moved him back, looked like he reached a little bit to get to the board, but anything to get this athlete behind it. He's such a good athlete. Just fair jumps. He took 6 jumps today. Only 2 of them were fair. You got to go 500 here. 50% is a must in a championship. He's in 3rd position right now. His best jump of the day, 16:19 and 16:33 on his last jump. That will move him into 2nd position, but not enough to overtake the leader, Jeremiah Green. Here's your leader. A couple of personal bests today, 16:37, 16:39. He's up to 53 feet 9 1/4 inches. As Jordan Scott, he just got bumped to 3rd position. Armani Wallace pushed him down just a little bit. He has been over 17 meters outdoors.
Wallace now equal to number 4 in the country with that jump.
Oh, and that's a big jump for Scott. He likes it. Excuse me, I misspoke. Scott has not been over 17 meters. I thought he went over 17 meters outdoors. Comes in from Campion College. Portmore, Jamaica. God, big, strong sprinter down that runway. Look at the timing. Boom! Right, and then a big left, and he got oh so close to the end of that runway.
16:35, that put him back into 2nd, but Green has it won.
16:35, he beats Armani Wallace by 2 centimeters to overtake him for 2nd. And Jeremiah Green's having such a good day. He's got the competition won. Why not take one big one? Boom, and that's a red flag. He'll come away with the win. He knew that was a big one too, but he continued to jump, even though he didn't need to on the 6th round, but why not? You never know what's going to happen. Facility record, personal best, and a big win for that young man right there, Jeremiah Green.
It's not too often athletes can say they have won a track and field championship in the ACC and the SEC, but this is the guy that can say that right there. Jeremiah Green, the senior, transferred in for the Tigers. He had a jump of 16.68 while at Alabama. Today, 16.39, a facility record, and it is an ACC championship mark. The women's mile getting ready to launch here for the ACC title. When you look at this year's field, and David, Jessica Harris has the bullseye right now. Notre Dame, the defending champion, has had a strong season. No indication she's not ready to defend it. She appears with all cylinders moving forward.
Yeah, she is running very well. She had a very easy qualifying run. Just got out, got away from everybody, and cruised the rest of the way. She comes in ranked number 12, along with being the defending champion. Interesting comments from Jessica after the distance medley. She got the baton way behind and worked her way up. Says, I like to go out fast, and she surprised herself that she had more patience than that. But said she had a little difficulty in that race judging where she was on the 200-meter track after running on Notre Dame's oversized track. No problem with that now. She's had her mile in for qualifying yesterday. She should be in good shape. But Katie Kennedy of Virginia Tech comes in ranked number 15. And Paige Duca of Boston College, ranked number 17 in the country. So this is a very good field, able to challenge the defending champion, Jessica Harris.
We've seen Harris and Grace Barnett of Clemson go back and forth through the years. 2 outstanding seniors competing in their final indoor championship mile, and we're underway.
Barnett was the silver medalist, both indoors and outdoors, and she was the silver medalist on the anchor of the DMR. She struggled physically, it looked like, in the 5K last night. So we'll see what she's got in the tank. We see Harris now getting out nice and quickly to get herself. Actually, that is Salvo from Pitt getting out quickly. First of all, she will have the lead on the outside. So Harris hanging back a bit.
Harris and Notre Dame in the green. Paige Duca, Boston College, your early leader. Harris sitting in a good position just to the right of Duca. You see Salvo of Pitt coming on the outside. And also Maudie Skyring. She is a freshman from down under Australia, part of that international flair that Florida State has brought in. In fact, 2 international runners in this race with Skyring and Jody Judd, who hails from Great Britain.
Always an interesting thing to see them blending in on the NCAA level. 4 of these athletes had season bests, up to by over 7 seconds for Anna Sophia Keller of Notre Dame in their qualifying run. So they knew they had to run their best to get in. Some of the more accomplished athletes did not get season bests. They didn't have to for this, but they're out on the track together right now.
But David, you know this is a big race. You know, inside of Grace Barnett, in front of this home crowd, to close out what has been a outstanding career, she would love nothing better to bring home that ACC championship in front of this home crowd.
She runs with a great deal of heart every time she goes out there. She has really helped elevate the Clemson distance program, All-American in cross country, along with her accolades on the track. So she is now settling into second behind Duca and ahead of Harris. She is more of a get out and hang on kind of runner, whereas Harris can be either. She can go out fast and hang and run away, or she can kind of hang back and then out kick. Looks like she's looking for the latter tactic right now.
Duca with the lead, Barnett second, Harris third, and then the duo from Florida State with Judd and Skyring.
Duca's looking to make a splash as an individual here. She's been a 2-time ACC scorer with a bronze medal last year in the distance medley, but she hasn't really made herself known yet as an individual runner. So she's out trying to earn her way onto that podium right now. Harris just smooth as silk in second, though. She is totally in control.
3 laps remaining. Here comes Harris making another push. And with 3 laps to go, she will work her way, trying to work her way around Paige Duca.
Barnett's in a great spot right now, hanging in third. She's in place. She has the championship record out there, does Jessica Harris. Amazing story. Jessica Harris, after being dropped off on the campus of Notre Dame as a freshman by her parents, go home and she gets the phone call that her mother had passed away. She has bonded with the community at Notre Dame because they helped her through that tragedy. She wants to win for her team right here as much as anybody else.
Yeah, it's a remarkable story. She'd been headed for an appointment at the U.S. Naval Academy, but the night before she was to sign her commitment papers, her mother, Cookie, sat with her and said her dream was for her to attend a Catholic university. Her father, Andy, is Maryland's 1st District Representative in Congress. She lost her mother, Cookie, and she's fulfilling her mother's dream, running at Notre Dame, trying to win her 2nd ACC indoor title.
Unlikely anybody's going to be able to catch her unless Jessica Harris has some trouble. Grace Barnett trying to reel in Duca right now.
It's the bell lap of the women's mile. Harris of Notre Dame looking for number 2. Barnett kicking for Clemson in that number 3 spot. But Harris is one of those runners you very rarely catch. Such explosive closing speed.
She is the one who tends to be the one that catches someone else, not to be caught. But Grace Barnett in front of the home crowd is going to give it a shot right here.
Down the home stretch we come. Harris, Barnett pushing toward the wire.
Oh my goodness.
Harris hangs on for Notre Dame.
Harris will defend her championship title, and Barnett returns for yet another silver. And what a race.
Wow, Grace Barnett, she made a move with about 150 to go. If she just had started the push a little bit earlier, she might have been able to get there.
I am astounded that Grace Barnett ran as well as she just did. As much as she looked like she was in physical pain last night in that 5K, she's had physio tape on her leg for the other races. That was all heart. All right, we're about to see the replay. Harris in the lead. Barnett not even in the picture initially. Barnett charging hard, being implored by the hometown crowd. You can see she almost reels her in, but not quite. Harris, unaware that she was that close, relieved and happy. Look at the smile on Harris's face. Jessica Harris. She is another one of the many fine people in the sport of track and field. She has some confidence. I asked her about whether she was definitely coming back into the 3K. She said initially she was entered to see where team scores were, but why not? Why not give it a shot? If she says, if I'm healthy, I'm going to go out there and race. So Duca getting her first medal as an individual, doing a great job there. She was, for Boston College, again, BC, we haven't had many opportunities to pay them respects either, and Paige Duca coming up with a strong performance.
Irish eyes certainly smiling for Jessica Harris in Notre Dame. She is your back-to-back champion, defends her title in the women's mile. Let's go back to the triple jump, Dan.
Well, this is Jeremiah Green. We had a chance to chat about him. This is his last round in the last round jump. He was the leader from the second round, but he just so much energy, so much passion, knew it was a good jump. The red flag went up, but he finishes with a seasonal best 16:39, 53.9 and a quarter for the win. There you get to see the standings. Jeremiah Green's your winner. Jordan Scott from Virginia and Armani Wallace, 16:33. Couldn't find the board today. And Hannah's with our winner, Jeremiah Green.
Jeremiah, a season best for you and a facility record final jump of 16 meters 39. What have you learned over the years as a senior that helped you in this competition?
I believe in God, man. All praise go to him, man. Had to believe in myself, believe in the coaches. Thank the Clemson for giving me the opportunity after surgery. It's been a long fall season training. I just thank God, man. I'm blessed.
You get first place in front of your home crowd. How did that give you momentum?
I'm honored, man. I'm honored, Clemson Tiger. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Congratulations.
Thank you.
An ACC champion for Clemson as the men make their way onto the track. And if it can follow up the late drama of the women's, we're in for a treat. The championship record set back in 1974. You see the ACC record with Ryan Hill in 2013. And David, again, this is a loaded field. Ciati of Virginia Tech. You have Zarate of Virginia Tech. Notre Dame with a talented freshman, and Yared Naguse. So there's some familiar names, and you have the blending in of some talented freshmen jumping into the fray.
That's right. Vincent Ciati is the defending champion, and he looked like he ran so easy and so much in control in the qualifying. Again, Virginia Tech with Zarate and Jaskowak in here with him have a great opportunity here to put points on the board. Back in that women's mile, Katie Kennedy finished fourth for Virginia Tech, so there was a bit of a decision by the Virginia Tech coaches to run Rachel Pokratsky only in the 800, not to try the short time frame double of running the mile in the 800. They don't think they quite got the points that they would hope for out of that, although Kennedy ran well. The others just got out ahead of her. The men need to come through here to be able to do that. Ciati needs to be able to defend and get some others up there with him. Michael Hall, Florida State, also a junior. He's going to be out there. He's split sub-4, or actually ran a sub-4 full mile, and Naguse, the freshman from Notre Dame, has run sub-4 on an anchor leg of the DMR. So we might just see that championship record, or actually the facility record of 3:59.12 probably challenged. Not sure about the championship record of 3:56. That might be a little farther down because there'll be a little bit more of the I want to make sure I get my place than there is about I want to try to run a fast time and run relaxed early.
Couple of sub-4-minute performances recently. You talked about the Notre Dame freshman and also that young man, Michael Hall from Florida State. He posted just the third sub-4-minute mile in Florida State history when he was clocked at a 3:59.17 at the Valentine Invite earlier this month. He did it at Boston University's Track and Tennis Center. Frank Ingalls that day hit 353, so it's a loaded field whenever you head east to Boston and the Valentine, and Hall certainly performed.
He sure did, and I won't be surprised here if we see some team tactics from Virginia Tech. Not anything in terms of unfair by any means, but just working together the way we've seen people do, a little bit of pacing, checking back and forth to see where we stand compared to one another. Jacob Dumford also running well for Notre Dame this year. There's Hall of Florida State looking around. He's going to tuck in almost at the lead. Ciotti on the outside. Vincent Ciotti, the defending champion. He's now into second. Hall deciding to back off, and he gets himself on the rail into a little bit of traffic.
So when you talk about the Hokies working together, break that down. Give some examples of how Virginia Tech will use their firepower and their depth to help them as a team overall.
Well, right now, Diego Zarate out in the lead. He is the USA Junior champion from a couple of summers ago, and he's leading. Ciotti is getting to relax a little bit. Ciotti is the favorite, and certainly the better of the two, even though Zarate is quite good. It is him in the lead right now, so he's doing a little bit of the early work. That's one example right off the bat. Their teammate, Jaskowak, all the way at the back of the pack, just kind of cruising along right now.
Virginia traditionally has been solid in these long-distance races, and they're hoping Spencer Dodds, a sophomore out of California. He started his career at Texas, transferred into Charlottesville, can get their fortunes turned a little bit here in 2018 along with Mike Marcella.
And it's Mike Marcella, the other runner for Virginia, now taking that lead. Right now, back in the pack is Hall from Florida State, Nagus from Notre Dame. They're kind of running together, keeping an eye on each other to see when one goes, the other is probably going to go with him. But Marcella doesn't quite have the achievements and the times that some of these other guys do, so he's going to go out and push the pace and see what he can do.
Marcella is a three-time NCAA East Regional qualifier. Really an amazing story. When he was younger in high school, he was hit by a car riding a moped. He went into a coma for 4 days. He made a complete recovery from that accident. And right now leading the pack for the Virginia Cavaliers with 4 laps to go as they enter the far turn.
Ciotti now up into second on Marcella's shoulder. Ciotti just seems to be content to run near the lead. Now he is going to take control of the race. Michael Hall still back in the pack. He's going to go to the outside now. Yared Nagus running back in about 6. They both have sub-4 credentials. Diego Zarate still in third. Marcella is the one who's kind of out of the expected place right now. He's running a great race in second.
Marcella, a guy who provides a variety of events for Virginia. He's been Mr. Versatility. He's been a 3-time All-ACC performer in the 1500, the 800, the DMR, now trying to earn one in the mile. He sits in the number 2 spot, the defending champ, Ciotti, leading the way. His teammate, Zarate, in the number 3 hole.
Marcella looks like he is geared up to take the lead, and he is going to try it. Let's see. You can't just take it away from the defending champ that easily, though. Vincent Ciotti denying the charge and maintaining the lead.
These two schools, Virginia Tech, they know a thing about photo finishes. Here comes a push by the Hokie on the outside, Zarate.
Zarate looking good in second now, just overtaking Marcella. Could be a 1-2. Dumford coming up now for Notre Dame. 1-2 for the Hokies, and those are the huge points we were talking about. That's what they needed to be able to do to stay in this team hunt.
Just like that, 18 points for Virginia Tech.
Great race
push by Dumford to get that bronze. Marcella was there the entire way, just could not hang on. He finishes 4th.
Dumford not expected to be the faster of the 2 Notre Dame runners in that section, and he came through with flying colors. What a great race, closing in 27.
Virginia Tech will actually pick up 20 points in that event. They get 2 from Jasowak in the number 7 spot. So a big race for the Hokies. The defending champion will come away with gold for the second straight year.
Ciotti just really had it under control. He didn't lead early, but he controlled that race right from the gun. Good teamwork up in front, as we mentioned beforehand. Diego Zarate leading early, getting Ciotti to where he needed to be, but it also paid off for Diego as he came in with that silver medal performance.
16.33 meters, that's 53 feet, 7 inches, Armani Wallace.
Jessica Harris of Notre Dame earlier today, just a few moments ago, with a huge lead as they enter the final turn, but her friendly rival from Clemson, so much respect between Grace Barnett and Jessica Harris. The kick by Barnett, but Harris had enough in the tank and a big smile for the Irish senior, and she joins our Hannah Yates.
53 feet, 9 1/4, a personal best.
Jessica, you're able to defend your championship title in your senior year. What does that mean to you?
It means a lot. This is like you said, my last season, so I was coming in with this being my goal. It means a lot to be successful in the mile. I moved up from the 800 where I just wasn't really hitting my stride, and here I think I found a really good spot. But again, grateful to have good competition. Grace, we were 1-2 again, which is awesome, both in our last year. So it means a lot. I'm happy here.
You had an explosive last lap. How did that help you create distance?
Well, I think it was really the last 500 where I tried to work hard to gain that distance, because last lap I was being caught, so I tried to work early in the race just to get that work done before that last 200.
Thank you very much. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
The crowd packed into the Clemson Indoor Track and Field facility. Some of the top sprinters getting ready to showcase their skill. The 400-meter dash, the finals coming up next. The great Shakima Wembley setting both the ACC and the championship record, 2 different occasions. A 51.07 is the conference mark last year in winning the 400 title. A blazing speed of 51.20. But no Shakima Wembley, and an opportunity for some new blood to jump up to the top in the women's 400. But as we go to the podium, and Virginia Tech with that 1-2 finish in the mile. The Hokies now push all the way into the number 2 spot. They pick up 20 points in that event, so they are closing the gap on Florida State. The Seminoles with 69, Virginia Tech sitting with 45 after 9 events. And the Hokies are trying to keep those points coming as we go back to the field and the pole vault. And Dan O'Brien, a situation where Virginia Tech can just ransack the field again.
Well, they really can. We get a look at the best man perhaps in the field. This is Deacon Vaults. He has not entered the competition as of yet. And more than an hour had gone by since they started this competition, so a couple of the guys who haven't entered the competition get one run through to kind of reconnect their steps. So just a couple of practice runs here for a couple of the favorites, but Deacon Volts has not come into the competition. Torben Leydig and Joel Benitez, all Virginia Tech athletes, have not taken a jump yet. But really a story that's brewing over there in the men's pole vault is Virginia Tech's 4th pole vaulter. You see him on the left-hand side there, tall, athletic gentleman, Jalen DeMori. He finished the heptathlon. He was 7th place in the heptathlon, and he only pole vaulted 4 meters 30. He's got a personal best of 4:45. Today he's over 5 meters. 16 feet 4 3/4. This guy is going crazy. He's in 3rd position right now. We talk about that super sweep. Esteban Suarez from Duke, he got a 3rd attempt make at 5 meters, and Eric Fox got a 2nd attempt make at 5 meters. You know, if Jalen DeMori were to make another bar, theoretically Virginia Tech could go 1, 2, 3, 4, but that's a big ask for DeMori at this point. 3 jumpers have made 5 meters, and 3 are about to enter the competition.
Well, Florida State men 24 points up on Virginia Tech. before that pole vault comes in. Nobody from Florida State among the potential scorers left in the pole vault. It's going to be a huge swing no matter how it works out.
And it's interesting as you start to look into that crystal ball a little bit deeper today. The men's shot put will start up in a little bit. Florida State has the favorite in that event, so an opportunity for the Seminoles to gain a few points with Austin Drugsma. It's going to be fun. That team race tightening up on the men's side. The women's field still wide open. A lot to be determined.
Well, and I have to say that maybe for the first time in the history of track and field events, a championships is ahead of schedule. We've got some break times. We're able to show you some of these great field events, but it's like, wow, they're not only on time, they're ahead of schedule here as the women come out for the first heat of the 400 meters.
First of two heats in the championship of the women's 400. McKinley McNeil of North Carolina, Sierra Dunston, Kendra Clark, Desiree Garland. First of two heats. Finals were seeded using Rule 5, Article 3B for all you track and field aficionados out there. Good look at Kendra Clark, the junior from Clemson. Canadian, represented Team Canada in U23 championships a couple of years ago. Some of the Tiger speed in the women's 400.
Yeah, 53.73 in the prelims and 2 heats of 4, not uncommon in indoor championship racing. And the rule states that when you're running on a track that has less than 8 lanes, and we were seeded by times only in those prelims, you split up the top 4 fastest times into the different heats. So we see the fastest 2 times in the preliminaries will run in the second heat. The 3rd and 4th fastest times in the preliminaries will run in the first heat. The 5th and 6th fastest times will run in the second heat, and the 7th and 8th fastest times will run in heat 1. So we're getting here 3, 4, 7, and 8 in the preliminaries in heat 1. So, it's sometimes easy to say, well, this is a slow heat and this is a fast heat. That is not the case here at these championships. You'll see an unseeded and a seeded 3,000 meters, but not here in the 400 meters. They're both fast heats, and you can win the 400 meters from the first heat.
And lane 5 being the preferred lane here, so that the top seeded person in each heat will be in lane 5 with the next best in lane 6.
Desiree Garland, according to the Times yesterday, was the next best. The Pitt senior, the transfer from Akron, spent a year with the Zips, her second year with Pitt. Already an All-American during the outdoor season in Eugene, the anchor leg of the 4x4 relay for the Panthers.
Well, and they're going to have a heck of a relay. They come in with the best relay time in the conference, and we'll see them in the final heat of the women's 4x4 today.
Gun up and we're underway. Heat number 1 of the women's 400-meter finals. Garland in lane 6. Clark of Clemson, lane 5. The 2 Tar Heels, Dunston and McNeil, lanes 4 and 3.
And again, just like yesterday, they're running for time because we got 2 heats here, and always makes for a little bit more exciting racing when you're racing for more than just trying to win your heat.
After the opening 200, it is Pitt with the lead. Desiree Garland, North Carolina sitting 2nd and 3rd, but here comes Desiree Garland and McKinley McNeil, Kendra Clark at Clemson. Clark making her move around the outside. Clark, who yesterday showcased that tail end speed, can she do it again as they hit the home stretch? Right now, Garland with the lead. Clark taking the outside route, but it's Desiree Garland. From the opening gun to the wire, she is your Heat 1 winner, 53-16.
Well, she did a wonderful job of just keeping her composure in that last 100 meters, holding them off. Big push by Kendra Clark. Kendra Clark did exactly what she needed to do in the last 70 meters. She moved to the outside, but she just couldn't get around the first 2. There was just too much distance. And Desiree Garland, you're hurting at this point. She's looking up at the clock going, just get to the finish line. You see Kendra Clark with the hard push on the outside, as well as Sierra Dunston. Fantastic running, though, by Desiree Garland.
Garland ran a great first 100 to put herself in that position. She was flying early to make sure she got that pole position.
Garland will play the waiting game and see if that time is good enough for ACC gold. Dunston of North Carolina goes second. Clark of Clemson third. McNeil with a 53.96.
Well, 53.16 is a very, very solid time. That could win these championships.
Madeline Price of Duke in lane 3, Khadijah Sellers of Syracuse in 4, Olivia James in 5, and the Virginia Cavaliers sophomore Anna Jefferson on the outside in lane 6. James had the fastest time yesterday, a 53.25. Olivia James, the redshirt senior, a multiple All-ACC performer. NCAA qualifier in the 4x4 as well.
Olivia James coming into these championships was ranked 19th nationally. They only take the top 16. So she needed to run faster coming in. She had a time coming in at 53.24. If she can best the mark by Desiree Garland, she can break that top 16, solidify a shot to go to the NCAA championships. It is championship weekend, so we will see a lot of changes in that top 16, but she was third at this event last year with a run of 52.97.
53.08 right now stands at number 16 in the midst of this championship weekend, as you mentioned, and there will be a lot of changes. So I think any of them, to think they want to be safe, need to be shooting for about the top 10 more than 16, but that would do it for the time being.
Sellers is one to keep an eye on for Syracuse. In lane number 4, she had her fastest 400-meter time earlier this year in the ACC. She too is a returning All-ACC performer. Second and final heat of the women's 400. Anna Jefferson, Virginia on the outside.
Well, I always think these athletes in the second heat have an advantage because they know the time that they need to beat going in.
Khadijah Sellers for the orange. Madeline Price on the inside for Duke as they approach the break. Sellers with a slim lead. Price in the number 2 spot. Here comes James from the outside into the final 200. It is Madeline Price of Duke with the lead, the senior. Part of a strong sprinting core for the Blue Devils. They were confident coming into this weekend here in Clemson. James starts to make her move as she works her way around Sellers and into the final turn. Olivia James, the senior for Clemson. You're going to hear this crowd roar. It's Price and James. Price and James toward the wire. Madeline Price of Duke, 53.28. .53.27 the time. Desiree Garland with her clocking a 53.
53.16
yeah.
in the first heat. I'll tell you what, though, Maddie Price ran a really tough race. She went out hard. She knew the time that she needed to beat, and she did all the work, guys, from start to finish. She got to the pole first. She went to the inside. She did all the work, made everybody chase her. Olivia James on the outside. She found the groove there right at the bottom of lane 2. She was making a big move. Maddie fought her off on the inside, but it just wasn't fast enough to overtake heat 1.
Desiree Garland with that time of 53.16 is your ACC gold medal winner. Madeline Price finishes second. Olivia James of Clemson third. So there are the Heat 2 results. Price with a 53.27. James second. Sellers, and then Anna Jefferson. But Pitt has an ACC champion in the women's 400 meters, and it's Desiree Garland.
Well, and you hear so much about their relay. Oh, you're running great relay times. And it's so exciting. It's so exciting to get an individual winner amongst a great relay team, and it really means a lot to that Pitt team.
If we could have Coach Webb from Pittsburgh, please report to the award stand.
But the 400-meter hurts. It hurts a little less, though, when you win a championship, guys.
Desiree can crack a smile. Exhausted. She knows in a few moments she's going to be atop that podium. And you look at this Pitt track and field program through the years. They've had some team success in the relays, and they're almost better as a whole than individually.
Yeah,
when you look at what they've been able to do.
And I asked the coach when we got here on Thursday. I said, how do you replace a guy like Desmond Palmer, who was a All-American 400-meter hurdler and such a big part? We saw him all over the indoor track, and he says, you don't. You just keep looking for kids out there, and you're hoping the ones you develop, have personal breakthroughs. And this is a fantastic personal breakthrough. 53.89 coming in, 53.16 for the win today.
Garland's performance in that last 100 meters really paying off for her to get that kind of reward. She had a lot to do to fight off the pack, and obviously no idea at that point it was going to get her the gold medal.
Well, and then sit there and wait. You have to wait through that next heat is just agonizing.
The men's 400 getting ready to go, and this has been an event dominated by Clemson. Cordell Lamb will be in lane 3, getting ready for the Tigers. Ben John of Georgia Tech, lane 4. Jeffrey Green, the defending champion, in lane 5. And then Daniel Peache out of Georgia Tech in lane 6. So a couple of Tigers and 2 Yellow Jackets in this first heat.
Well, and we talked, it was just a little bit disappointing that we're not going to get a chance to see Jeffrey Green run Stephen Solomon of Duke, who had the fastest time, but Green was in the final heat in those 400 meters prelims yesterday. He knew exactly what he needed to do to get through, and he did exactly that, but that put him in the first heat, not the second heat. So he's going to have to really work hard himself to post a really good time and just wait and see that it holds up.
Senior from Miami, Florida. Grew up a huge fan of Tyson Gay, watched a lot of YouTube videos of him running, molding his style. It's a good one to mold after. Green has carried that success throughout his years at Clemson. His teammate Cordell Lamb from Miami Gardens, Florida. He's a 5-time ACC champion. He's been a part of 3 straight 4x4 ACC indoor title teams, and they're going to be looking for number 4 a little bit later on this afternoon, but he has good individual speed. Some of these great Clemson sprinters throughout the years, Michael Cheeks, Jeffrey Green. Lamb would be right in the middle of those guys as far as a steady point getter for Clemson and head coach Mark Elliott.
Well, Jeffrey Green can run in the 45-second range. He ran 45.87 to break a school record here just a couple of weeks ago. So he can run faster. We saw it was just shocking yesterday to see that 45.44 out of Stephen Solomon. We're not sure he can come back and run that today again, but I think Jeffrey Green knows he needs to put up something with a 45 in front of it.
Right, Kenny Selman in that other heat also really was kind of the surprise, being the number 2 seed coming into this final at 46.66. Lots of surprises, really. We didn't know what Solomon could do, being his first 400 of the indoor season.
Ben John of Georgia Tech, he actually arrived in Atlanta with plans to play football. He was a preferred walk-on, changed his mind, has switched to track and field, and now he's in the finals. His teammate, Daniel Peache, on the outside, a Division III outdoor 400-meter champion at Emory University. But it is the Clemson speed. As they hit the turn, Lamb with the lead, Green right behind him, Jean and Peache sitting 3rd and 4th. And now the 2 Tigers will battle it out. Green coming along the outside. Lamb with that inside position, but look at the speed of the defending champion, Jeffrey Green. Into the final stretch we go. All Clemson in this first heat. Green, Cordell Lamb, Peache, and John. 4.5.82. Jeffrey Green
breaks his own school record.
Wow, he was really digging deep in those last 50 meters. But these guys run together every day in practice. And I'm sure this is how it goes. Lamb takes it out hard. Green sits on his shoulder. And with 100 meters to go, he goes by him. But Jeffrey Green, just the look of determination on his face. Great run for Lamb, Cordell Lamb as well. 45.82. Outstanding run and a new record for him.
A very fast 45.82 for Jeffrey Green. Cordell Lamb second at 46.04. Jean and Peach go third and fourth for Georgia Tech.
That puts Green all by himself at number 5 on the national list, and all of a sudden Cordell Lamb is a player on that list as well. So good things happening there for the Tigers, and the gauntlet's been thrown down.
One of the biggest stories yesterday was the effort turned in by Stephen Solomon of Duke. An 8th place Olympic finisher back in 2012 at the London Games. At the age of 19, he took 8th. He was the first Australian to reach the Olympic finals in the 400 in 24 years. He was part of the 2017 World Championship squad in London this past summer, and yesterday, out of nowhere, he exploded with a conference record time.
Well, I got a chance to talk to him in the warm-up area earlier today, and I said, did you know you always wanted to be a track athlete? And he said, no, he kind of fell into it by accident. He wanted to be a football player, a soccer player. He said up until the age of 16, he figured he was going to go to Europe and just go that route. But there was a young man that he was training with that got him interested in the sport of track and field, and then a young coach got interested, and the more he ran track and field, the more he enjoyed it and excelled at it, and just kind of found himself being an exceptional athletics individual. And athletics around the rest of the world is the sport of track and field. And I said, well, how do you feel today? And he said his hamstring was a little bit sore, but he was going to give it his best efforts.
Had a talk with his coach Norm Ogilvie, and he said, when your body runs that fast, you're not used to it. He hasn't run in the 45 since last August. That it takes a little bit of time to recover the first time you've come back to that. So he said he's going to go out there and try, just as you said, but no guarantees what he's going to be able to do, because he probably will not push himself to the point of injury.
Kenny Selman of North Carolina, let's not forget, a 3-time ACC champion. He is the North Carolina record holder in what should be an entertaining second and final heat in the men's 400. Selman in lane 6, Solomon at Duke lane 5, freshman Brandon Outlaw for Virginia lane 4, Carlos Coleman of Louisville in lane 3. Dan, what are you seeing from Solomon here in the first 150?
Well, he didn't certainly take it out quite as hard as he did yesterday, but he is such a smooth runner. He makes it look so easy. Kenny Selman on the outside, though. He's your 400-meter hurdler who has come down. Great strength that he's got a leg wrap, and he's banged up a little bit.
Time to beat for an ACC championship is 45.82. Into the turn we go. Into the straightaway. Solomon for the second straight day with the lead. Can Kenny Selman push him? No. The breaking speed of Solomon, and he's across the line. 46.16. And Jeffrey Green is your ACC champion again. The Tiger Nation celebrates as for the second straight year, Clemson goes 1-2.
1-2. Cordell Lamb with his best performance. Jeffrey Green with the best performance. Dan, you've been saying it all day. Clemson is performing well on their home track here.
Well, they really are, and my hat goes off to Jeffrey Green for really pushing it hard in that first heat. And I look at Stephen Solomon here. He didn't go out as hard as he did yesterday, and even the last 60 meters, his coach was saying, settle down, settle down, settle down. And I think it's a victory for those guys to get this kid across the finish line healthy going into the outdoor season. They certainly didn't want anything to happen to him.
Absolutely.
Another ACC championship for Jeffrey Green. Clemson goes 1-2. Green defends the title in the men's 400 meters, 45.82, and he needed to knock off an Olympic finalist to get the job done here in 2018.
Just tough running, inspired running in front of the home crowd. These are the moments that you come to the university or Clemson University for, to be part of that. You know, it's orange in here. There's a tiger on every wall in every bathroom on this campus, and you know, you're at home now, living it up, giving the home crowd something they can cheer about.
Clemson will try to keep the momentum rolling on the women's side. Rebecca Smith, Tori Robinson getting loose and ready. The women's 60 finals next.
In lane 3, Jayla Kirkland of Florida State.
Welcome back inside the beautiful Clemson indoor track and field facility, where it has been noisy over the last 20 minutes. Clemson putting on a show in a race that they have dominated through the years, the 400 meters, and now they will try to keep it rolling with some veterans. The women's 60-meter finals coming up next. Tanya Carter has both the ACC and the championship record set quite a while back in 2007.15. Florida State with 3 runners, 3 of the 8. Seminoles go 1, 2, 3 with help Seymour and Kirkland. Remember, Seymour and Kirkland, 2 freshmen for the Noles. You have Rebecca Smith and Tori Robinson with experience in this race back. Gabby Cunningham, NC State. North Carolina's Brianna Duncan, and then Caitlin Tate of Virginia Tech, the freshman, on the outside in lane 8.
Well, you got to just continue that theme that the Clemson runners are going to continue to perform at a high level, and you get 2 young ladies with a good amount of conference experience in the middle. Rebecca Smith and Tori Robinson, they ran 7:31, as well as Jalen Kirkland yesterday. She runs 7:31, but Katia Seymour, been really impressed with those 2 freshmen from Florida State University.
Rebecca Smith is the defending champion in this event. Tori Robinson was the runner-up. Can some of this young Florida State speed dethrone it? Maybe a veteran like helps. We're about to find out.
3 together with the same time. 2 more, 1/100th behind. 5 women separated by 1/100th of a second in their qualifying times.
Rebecca Smith was your champion indoors last year. Lots of noise in this building. We've got the pole vault going on. We've got the men's shot put right behind where these athletes are starting. But you know, good-sized crowd in here. Most of the seats are taken. But you know, when there's noise, especially in a final, the officials will stand them up, reset them, see if they can't get some quiet down there at the start.
Florida State in those first 3 lanes, and you look at Katia Seymour and Jayla Kirkland, 2 of the more decorated prep sprinters to sign with Florida State throughout the years. And Kirkland, a 16-time Alabama State champ, 12 individual titles at Woodlawn High School. Same high school as Florida State Hall of Fame football coach Bobby Bowden. Gun is up, and we're underway. Smith is the defending champion in lane 4 for Clemson. Early lead by helps for the Seminoles, but on the outside as they cross the line, it will be Kirkland of Florida State, the freshman. We were just talking about her speed.
Oh, wow.
Holy cow, 7.24 for Kirkland and Seymour, the 2 freshman sensations for Florida State. Rebecca Smith third at a 7.27.
Well, Rebecca Smith got behind a little bit. She made a nice comeback, but the 2 young ladies from Florida State on the inside there just were blazing away. And there's definitely a feeling of comfortability when you're right next to your teammate in the blocks here. You do starts against them every single day. Wow, what a great photo. Just a little better dip by Jalen Kirkland on the inside than Rebecca Smith and Katia Seymour. But 7:24, fantastic times, best times of the season for them.
That puts them in equal at number 11, and so now they are players on this national qualifying list as freshmen.
7.24, Kirkland and Seymour for Florida State.
Well, 4 out of the 8 record personal bests, and you know a facility is fast when these PBs and these SBs just keep popping up on all these results. 4 thousandths of a second separated Kirkland and Seymour.
Jayla Kirkland, your ACC champion. She had her outdoor season her senior year in high school cut short. She was limited on the track due to injuries. Just a young high school flyer for Florida State. And now an ACC champion. Boy, it's impressive to look at what Florida State has coming up in those sprints, and two faces that ACC fans will certainly get used to right there. Katia Seymour, Jayla Kirkland. They go 1-2 in the 60 finals.
Huge team points there when Louisville was coming into that event 1 point behind them.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have updated the start time of the women's triple jump.
Jeffrey Green, another ACC champion earlier today in the men's 400. A familiar sight the past couple of years. Green and Cordell Lamb. This was heat number 1. So Green busting as hard as he could, crossing the line, and another ACC championship. He's standing by with Hannah Yates.
I'm standing by with Jeffrey Green. Jeffrey, you set a personal best and a meet record. What did you need to do in Heat 1, not knowing what was going to happen in Heat 2?
Just run my race and focus on myself. I had my teammate in there, so I was pretty comfortable because that's somebody I practice with every day. And I know if I got out with him coming through the first lap, that I'll be set up to run a great race.
How special was it for you to win this in front of your home crowd?
Oh, it was very special considering that it is my last year here at Clemson University. This is my last indoor season. So I'm trying to give every race my all. Every time I step on the track, I'm trying to do the best I possibly can.
What do you like most about competing on this track?
Oh, my God. I don't know. It's such a fast track. It's so nice. And I don't know. I just love it. I think my coach and my team just gives me hyped to run every time. They're always telling me, like, I know you got this. And so I just like hearing from them and hearing them cheer me on and hearing my parents here. And it just gives me a great adrenaline to run fast.
Congratulations on defending your title.
Thank you so much.
Another championship for Jeffrey Green. Our coverage continues. The men's 60, one of the fastest runners in the country from Florida State, getting ready to look for his first ACC title. The men's 60 meters moments away as we welcome you back to Clemson, the indoor track and field facility, the host for the ACC Indoor Championships. Just moments ago, let's go back to the field events with the pole vault.
Well, everybody's been waiting for these Virginia Tech Hokie vaulters to get into the competition. This was Deacon Vaults at 5 meters 30. Look at that clearance, 17.4 and a half. So three Hokies over this bar. Torben Ledig over on his first attempt. Deacon Volts, he's over on his second attempt. Joel Benitez, he made 5 meters 10. And Eric Fox from Louisville also made 5:10, but just 2 jumpers remaining. But the Hokies have a stranglehold on those first 3 positions over there in the men's pole vault.
60-meter dash final. The ACC record was Jacoby Ford back in 2009. Is that in jeopardy with the junior college transfer for Florida State and Andre Ewers? Ewers coming into this weekend had the fastest time in the nation in this event. He draws lane 4. Peebles of North Carolina State in 1. Notre Dame football player Troy Pride Jr. in lane 2. Rayvon Charleston, the outdoor track MVP this past ACC Outdoor Championship season in lane 3. Speed with Miami's Miles Valentine in 5. Gay and Clark for Florida State. And then Dontavian Smith on the outside, the young freshman for North Carolina.
Well, it's interesting. Just Florida State just interchanges one champion with another. Andre Ewers is the man to watch this year. He ran 6:69 in the prelims, and I asked his coach, where's Daryl Haraway? And he said, guy's just been riddled with injuries, trying to get him healthy for the outdoor season, but Ewers looked good yesterday. His knee was really taped up. He also looked good in the 200 meters. We'll see if he can get challenged here. He's the class of the field, running 5/10 faster than everybody in the prelims.
Sandwich between speed. On the inside, you have Charleston. On the outside, Miles Valentine, the sophomore from Miami.
5/100s.
Gun up, and we're underway. Early lead by Ewers. Pushed hard by Charleston on the inside. Ewers, Florida State. flying through a 6.65. Actually, Edward Clark is going to get into that first spot. Both Clark and Ewers at 6.64.
Wow.
Holy cow, are you kidding me?
Wow, and Cravant Charleston.
Unbelievable. Florida State again. 1-2 in the 60. Those are moments they're going to look back at and say, that may have been the difference in winning our championship.
Well, Andre Ewers in the middle of the track. He got an outstanding start, but it was Edward Clark on the outside, running virtually alone, that sneaks up there for the win. And sometimes when you're out there on the outside and people don't see you, they can't feel the pressure or anticipate you, sometimes you run your best races, and he ran his best race today. Edward Clark on the outside, beating the freshman, Andre Ewers.
Clark, a junior, he had a big 2016 season. He was a second-team All-American in the outdoor 100 and the 4x1. Darrell Gay scoring some points as well for the Seminoles in that number 5 spot. So Clark and Ewers, 1-2. Charleston of North Carolina State, 3rd. Miles Valentine, Miami, settling for 4th.
Well, that's really impressive running by the top 3 guys, all under 670.
Florida State nearly running the table on the men's. Let's go back to the women's a few moments ago. And the Clemson Tigers. And when you talk Clemson, usually they come in pairs in some of these sprints, and that's what we're going to deal with now. Hannah Yates standing by with a couple of happy Clemson Tigers.
Ladies and gentlemen, at the award stand.
I'm with not one champion, but 2 champions of the women's 60 meters. Ladies, a personal best for both of you with a final time of 7:24. What does it mean to you to share this experience?
Well, mostly to share this experience, this is my best friend. So therefore, both of us running the same time, the same event, and just doing our thing, trying to go and win and be those is just awesome.
You were telling me that you're not only best friends, but you're also roommates. So how important is it for you to be able to battle against each other and learn from one another?
I mean, I know, like, all my teammates that I train with, they have a lot of talent. KT, we both came in with, like, a great amount of talent, so I'm just thankful to be able to train with her and train with the rest of my teammates. And I just feel really blessed.
Thank you very much. Congratulations to both of you.
Thank you.
Florida State speed, the tomahawk chop, the Noles rolling in the sprints. We'll be back with more from Clemson. Florida State with some momentum. The Seminoles making a push, both the men and the women here at Clemson at the 2018 Track and Field Championships. Edward Clark, Andre Ewers go 1-2 for Florida State. Let's keep that Nole theme. Here's Hannah.
I just spoke with 2 ladies from FSU who won the women's 60 meter, and now I'm speaking with 2 of you from the men's 60 meter who also tied with the same time, first place champions. What does that mean for both of you?
Well, it means a lot. We put in a lot of hard work to get to this stage, and our team needed us, and we came through.
How does it help to have a friendship between both of you competing neck and neck?
It means a lot because basically the same way we came out here and compete, it's like that every day in practice. So we push each other to be the best on and off the track. So,
congratulations. Good luck to both of you.
All right, thank you.
Going back to the finals, it was the quick start by Ewers in lane 4, but look at this closing speed, as Dan mentioned, with Edward Clark on the outside.
Well, it's interesting. Sometimes you get out there and you're on your own little island. Don't have anybody, he's blasting the guy to the right. Everybody was out of sight to the far left, and he just runs his own race. Doesn't feel any pressure in front of him or behind him. You just run your own race out there. You execute. You run a fast race, and you can sneak up on those guys on the inside battling.
I don't know if you happen to notice, but one of the first guys over there to congratulate those 2, last year's ACC champion and Daryl Haraway, who's still nursing an injury this indoor season. Let's go back to Leydig, getting ready to go for Virginia Tech in this arsenal of Hokies in the pole vault. You have Vols, Leidig, and Benitez sitting 1, 2, 3 for the Hokies.
All right, so the competition went really fast. After we got through 16.4 3/4, 5 meters, the competition just flew by. There were only 4 guys remaining after 5 meters 10, 16.8, and then there was a big jump to 5 meters 30, 17.4.5. Only 2 jumpers got over that. Torben Leidig, last year's ACC indoor champion, and Deacon Volz, it took him 2 jumps to get over. They both passed 5 meters 40, 17.8.5, and this is 5:50. Volz is over. Torben Leidig, the senior, is up for his 3rd attempt. This would be an indoor personal best if he can get over this. Seasonal best. So that is a seasonal best for him. His previous seasonal best, 5:47, 17 feet 9 inches. So he's over 18 feet on a 3rd attempt. Keeps him alive for a team title, but the Hokies doing very well in the men's pole vault.
It was a no-doubter.
From the pole vault to the women's 800, the women's side getting ready to go. ACC championship record time established last year with Anna Green, a 2:02.28. This year, she's hoping to pass that torch on to another Hokie in junior Rachel Pokratsky, looking for her first ACC title.
Rachel Pokratsky comes in with a seat time nearly 3 seconds faster than anyone else. She cruised through her qualifying. She is in good shape here. She looks to be very relaxed at the line. The biggest challenge for her likely to be Fallon Ferguson, the 10-time All-American at Division II, now running for Clemson. She split 2:03.60 in the distance medley relay, which is going to put her right in that neighborhood of 2:03.64, which is Pokratsky's best time. I would not be surprised to see Rachel try to take down her former teammate's record, championship record of 2:02.28 right here on the track.
Mentioned Ferguson for Clemson, a strong showing yesterday by Cameron McIntosh. As you get a good look at the focus from the junior, Rachel Pokratsky, who started the championship weekend off with a huge opening leg in the DMR. It was a record-setting performance by Virginia Tech in that event. Yesterday followed suit with a strong 800-meter run in the prelims, and now can she capture the gold in this event for the first time?
5 of these ladies, eight of them on the track, 5 of them ran their season best in qualifying yesterday. So they're running hot at the right time. They knew they had to do that to get into this field. A couple of strong freshmen, Kayla Johnson, Cameron McIntosh, could be factors.
We're underway. The women's 800 from Clemson. McIntosh for the Tigers out in front. Hart working on the outer lanes as they come to the break on the next turn. Pokratsky in the inside, the one to keep an eye on for Virginia Tech.
Pokratsky now putting herself in position. Kayla Johnson just inside her, but Cameron McIntosh setting that pace.
McIntosh is an incredible story, the former national record holder in the 600 meters. She was diagnosed with a rare heart condition, AAOCA. It's the 2nd leading cause of sudden cardiac death in young athletes. They were able to catch it early. She underwent surgery a month after running the #1 U.S. time in the 600. She is your leader for Clemson in her first ACC indoor championship.
She's got a pair of Hokies on her heels now. Pokratsky, the favorite, who comes in ranked number 5 in the NCAA, and her teammate Barton. Lori Barton running very well. Right now, Fallon Ferguson, Kayla Johnson a little bit out of it. They've dropped back in that chase pack. We'll see what they're able to do. Ferguson is a big finisher.
Mentioned Barton sitting in the 3-hole for the Hokies. She was a silver medalist at the USA Junior Outdoor Championships this past summer. Pokratsky sitting 2nd. McIntosh has been the leader from the start. And now Pokratsky starts to make a move as the bell rings. The bell lap, and it's Rachel Pokratsky taking the lead away from McIntosh.
Ferguson closing quickly as well. Pokratsky and Ferguson definitely moving the fastest of the four right now. Barton starting to make a move to try to go for second. It could be a 1-2 Hokie finish if she's able to get past McIntosh.
McIntosh with the inside position as Barton will look to make her magic along the outside.
Fallon Ferguson, a couple of Division II national championships in the 4x400 on the outside, but Pokratsky is going to be your winner.
Virginia Tech followed by a couple of Tigers. McIntosh hangs on for 2, Ferguson third, but it's Rachel Pokratsky, a 2:03.17.
Season best, number 3 in the country now for Pokratsky. Watch, Ferguson's not even in the picture, and she comes up after a little while here. We see Pokratsky get around McIntosh. Barton's going to try. And this is where Ferguson gets into the picture. Pokratsky able to hold her off. Great determination. Look at that relaxation on Rachel Pokratsky's face. She is really taking it to another level for the Hokies.
What a feeling that must be. She watched Hannah Green take that spot atop the podium, and now in her junior year, it's all hers. Rachel Pokratsky, a 2:03.17. McIntosh and Ferguson go 2-3 for the Tigers. Lori Barton scores points as well.
Huge performance. Huge performances for McIntosh, especially there to come up in there. That puts McIntosh and Ferguson tied at that 2:03.59 in the top 5 in the country right now. Barton, that's a big PR for her as well. Great running all the way around. And Pokratsky fulfilled her potential there and then some to get the win.
Rachel Pokratsky, Virginia Tech, your champion in the women's 800. We'll find out who wins a loaded men's 800 when we return. It's been a record-setting year for Rachel Pokratsky, Virginia Tech. She's broken 2 Tech records this year coming into the championship weekend. Both those records broken not in the event she just won. It was the mile earlier in the year and the 1,000-meter race, and a championship running by the junior for Virginia Tech. Men's 800 coming up in just a little bit. And this is a loaded field. Neil Gorley, Patrick Joseph. Again, the Hokies with strong representation. Georgia Tech's Avery Bartlett, Andreas Lee Teague getting loose and ready for the Yellow Jacket contingency. And then let's not forget about John Lewis of Clemson, Robert Heppenstall of Wake Forest. Boy, you take your pick here.
This one is absolutely loaded. The top 6 in the conference all made it in. The top 4 of them are NCAA qualifiers, ACC placers indoors and out. They've got international accolades. They race each other all the time. It is really anybody's moment in the sun here. This is one of the toughest events in the NCAA right now, the men's 800. It is so deep, and the ACC is a part of that depth. We expect some of these to be able to move up. Heppenstall comes in ranked number 10 in the country. Only Bartlett is right on the bubble at number 16 for qualifying, and there's more in this race that is capable of being in that NCAA final, in that national. So we'll see what happens as they come together. It will be a fast time. They will not play around. They're going to go after it.
John Lewis of Clemson with that preliminary time of 1:48.62. It's been a force this year for the Tigers. Top 3 times in Clemson history in both the indoor and outdoor 800, but they're all trying to catch Patrick Joseph.
Joseph is the meet record holder, the championship record of 146.23 last year. He hasn't really approached that yet this year, but no one doubts that he can do that. So we'll see what the tactics are going to be able to get some of these runners out. Heppenstall and Bartlett, pretty tall, so is Leidig. So they may have a slightly different strategy of trying to get loose and free. We'll see what they try to do.
Well, but you guys do. John Lewis is one of those guys. He likes to lead, and you get in front of this crowd. And you got this crowd cheering. He could be one of those guys that gets onto the podium just on sheer guts. He's really, and he's maturing into a good 800-meter runner. It's interesting, last year he almost looked like he looked more like a sprinter, was a little bit stronger in the upper body, and this year he looked like he's leaned out a little bit more more to the middle distances.
Right. Lewis said he's had PRs in every event except for the 800 coming into this weekend. He ran a season best in that qualifying, and he clearly had a lot more left. He was very relaxed as he went through. Leidig there you see on your screen next to Heppenstall. Leidig ran the fastest split on the 800 in the DMR. Heppenstall is a first-team All-American, finishing 5th indoors and 8th outdoors. 5th at the World Junior Championships for Canada, so talent galore.
And Heppenstall's another guy in this event. He's been close to getting to the top of the podium. Can this be the year he finally gets a top in the indoor 800?
He comes in as the best in the conference right now. And it certainly, I think what's going to have to happen is somebody's going to have to be bold, like Dan said, and try to just take it right from the start, or they're going to have all the pieces of the puzzle fall into place. There are so many moving parts because there's so much talent on the track.
Well, that puzzle is about to get figured out. We are underway, the men's 800. Joseph of Virginia Tech, the defending champion.
Dante Watson of Pittsburgh, we haven't even mentioned. He's out quickly right now in that inside box right outside of Heppenstall.
Watson making his first appearance in the ACC finals, and as Dan talked about, Lewis is a guy who likes to get out in front. He's going to set the pace early in the opening 200.
Gorley ran the anchor leg of the winning distance medley. He's a Scottish native, and here running and doing a great job for the Hokies. He is going to definitely be in the mix. That's your defending champion meet record holder, Patrick Joseph, going to the outside.
At the 400-meter mark, it will be Joseph for a brief moment grabbing his first lead, but Lewis says, nuh-uh, not yet.
52.88, Joseph went through, so that is moving on an indoor track. That's a good first 400. They need to beat each other, but they need those times to get into that national meet. This is it. This is their opportunity right here.
Well, I like the way that Joseph is surging and Lewis is answering back. That provides for some good running times.
We're down to our final lap. Lewis maintaining the lead, surrounded by Hokies in the number 2 and 3 spots. Heppenstall of Wake Forest trying to get into the act as well.
Heppenstall and Bartlett on the move from 4th and 5th. They're going to come up and join the fray right now. John Lewis trying to do what Dan said, take it from the gun.
This place will go nuts if Lewis can hang on. Here comes Gorley at the wire, and it's Gorley of Virginia Tech.
And Heppenstall sliding in on the inside may have overtaken Lewis as well. Lewis does finish second. Wow. Tremendous racing, great tactics, great heart. Jumping up a whole number of them onto the national list. Here we take into the finish. John Lewis has had the lead. Gorley goes to the outside. That 3:59 split on the DMR showed that he had the strength. Heppenstall just left himself out of the pack a little bit too long before he could close on them.
Too many moves by Joseph. He got into position. He tried to make a serve. John Lewis held him off. He did that 2 or 3 times. John Lewis was not going to let anybody pass him. But I think Joseph got into trouble because that's where he used all his energy. Instead of just letting John Lewis lead that race, let somebody else do all the work and then come up the side and pass him.
That's a good point, Dan. Joseph, also knowing that Gorley can close the way he did, may have wanted to try to get that lead earlier and try to run it out from him. When you have that many different factors in a race, you can't really focus on one opponent, and you can't even totally focus on yourself because there are different people doing different things. Gorley comes through with his second gold medal of this ACC championship. DMR, and now your 800 individual champ.
Young man who picked up a gold medal last year in the outdoor championships in the 1500, and here he wins the 800 meters.
That's the number 2 time in the country for Gorley. For Lewis, that's now number 4. For Heppenstall, number 5. Joseph, that puts him up in the top 10 as well. That was huge for the ACC. These runners needed that kind of time. They should all buy John Lewis dinner tonight.
Couple of Hokies coming together, the 2 champions, Pokratsky and Gorley, giving each other a big hug. A Virginia Tech sweep, something that, again, we're getting used to in this 800.
They're very strong in the middle distances, just as we've been seeing in the men's pole vault. It's on both genders.
It will be Sydney Murphy of Duke.
Strength in the 800, strength in the mile and 1500. That carries over into their distance medley relays, which both were champions here. Here's that Pokratsky finish. She's being challenged. Fallon Ferguson of Clemson had the fastest last lap at 30 point. Everybody else in the 31-32s, but she can't close it down on Pokratsky. She was bound and determined to win that race.
Let's go back down to Hannah. She's standing by with the championship runner from Virginia Tech.
I'm with Rachel Pokratsky. Rachel, a personal best for you. Now number 3 in the country in the women's 800 meter. How have you trained for this?
Oh, wow. It's been a long journey. It all started with cross country. That's what I really needed. I got my endurance up all the way, and then I've been getting some speed work in the past few weeks, so it's been really working a lot because I've had some really good races this season, and it's paid off.
Now your teammate winning the 800 meter in men's. How important is this for your team as a whole?
Oh, it's so important. I actually thought Patty was also going to get up there in the top 3, but it was a tough race. I saw them pushing them all around the whole way, so it was a tough race, but I'm glad Neil was able to pull that off, so it's really good.
Thank you very much. Congratulations.
Thank you.
This is a tight-knit group from Virginia Tech on both the men and the women. We saw them celebrate together in Atlanta last outdoor season. They feed off each other's success, and certainly the case in the 800 meters. Virginia Tech making a move in the 800. 2 ACC champions. The closing speed of Gorley coming together with the women and the champion Rachel Pokratsky.
Second place for Clemson with a count of 1. The finals of women's 200-meter dash.
2018 marking the 4th time in the history of Clemson University track that they have hosted the ACC Indoor Championships. It is the first time they've done it with the banked track. The renovation taking place a couple of years ago in 2016. It has added some lightning-fast times, a number of facility records going by the wayside over the last 3 days in this year's championship. Sean Kenny, Dan O'Brien, David Mitchell, Hannah Yates keeping busy down on the track as we move into the women's 200-meter dash finals. One of 2 heats. Take a look at heat number 1. Desiree Garland already an ACC champion. She'll be in lane number 3. Kathleen Campbell of Duke, the freshman, in lane 4. Alfreda Steele of Miami in lane 5. And then Rebecca Smith of Clemson in lane 6.
Well, I'm real interested to see what Desiree Garland, what her legs are feeling like after winning that 400 meters just less than an hour ago, Sean. And here she's going to get in the blocks to run this 200. But, you know, let me make it perfectly clear to the people watching at home, this is not a slow heat and a fast heat. These are seeded heats. These are seeded heats based on the preliminary times that they ran yesterday. And there were 9 heats of 200 meters, and only the fastest 8 times went through. Fastest 2 times, 1 and 2 go into heat 2. 3, 4 fastest times go into heat 1. So we are getting some really fast people into heat 1. And Desiree Garland, she was in heat 1 when she won that 400 meters.
What's going to weigh more heavily, the fatigue or the adrenaline of having just gotten that gold medal?
Well, from my perspective, it's only 1 lap. The other one was 2 laps. So, you know, you can get up for 1 lap. But I think she's probably, she is probably a little fatigued, but a lot of momentum as well.
She's probably more of a 400-meter specialist, but this could be a time for her to really prove her place in this conference.
Well, Rebecca Smith was 3rd place in the 60. She's on the outside in lane 6. After a 3rd place finish to a couple of freshmen from Florida State, she could be real hungry for a victory.
Speaking of freshmen, Alfreda Steele coming off that ACL injury last year. She has just been a consistent young talent for Coach Amy Dean this year. Keep an eye on Steele, lane 5 for the Hurricanes. Gun up, and we're underway in the women's 200. Smith on the outside, Steele lane 5. Campbell, the freshman from Duke, in 4. Garland, a pit, already a champion today in lane 3. Alfreda Steele starts to make her move on the outside in lane number 5. Duke coming around the corner as well with Kathleen Campbell. But it's going to be Steele on the outside. Here comes Rebecca Smith, and Clemson crosses the line. A 23-3-2 for the Tigers sophomore. Officially clocking at 23-3-0. Steele at 23-4-9.
We saw the Clemson women yesterday, Dan, run the last 10 meters of these 200 qualifying really well. It happened again here today. She held her form.
Well, and they are comfortable. They know every bump, nook and cranny, and bend in this place. You see Alfreda Steele in lane 5 there, second to the left. Rebecca Smith runs so much smoother. You see Alfreda Smith, she lost her balance just a little bit when they made the transition from the bank to the straight. That was the edge that Rebecca Smith needed to run that 23:30, and a personal best for her. She did it at the right time. Let's keep an eye on that time. Now she gets to sit and play the waiting game and to see what happens in Heat 2.
She'll have a teammate running in this second heat. Tori Robinson, the senior, yesterday a 23.68 preliminary time. Courtney Blandon of Virginia Tech. Okay, Tia Seymour in lane number 5, and then Shauna Helps will be in lane number 6. So Blandon, Robinson, Seymour, and Helps, lanes 3, 4, 5, and 6 in the second heat. Again, Dan, the time to beat 23.30.
Certainly there's athletes in this heat that can do it. Maybe all of them can do it. Katia Seymour and Shauna Helps both out of Florida State on the outside. They posted the 2 fastest times in the preliminaries, and those are the preferred lanes out there. You saw the 3rd and 4th fastest preliminaries qualifiers in the first heat. They had lanes 5 and 6, and that was Alfreda Steele and Rebecca Smith. They ran the fastest time, so the advantage goes to those athletes in the outside lanes in this race, and probably this race only.
Definitely a factor, and that's why they seed it the way that they do, to keep anyone from having to run in lanes 1 and 2.
200 meters, though, guys, is just a commitment from the first step. This isn't a race where you take off, get down the back straight, and see where everybody's at, because if you do, everybody's gone. You need to just commit from the gun and say, I'm going to run this thing hard, I'm going to run it all the way to the line. There's really not a whole lot of momentum that you can build up. You're just trying to run as fast as you can for 23 seconds.
One of the top talents in the state of Florida, Katia Seymour. She won 4 individual Florida 2A state titles in her junior and senior seasons. She posted the fastest all conditions 200 time in the nation last year, clocking in at 22.89. The elder statesman on this Knowles sprinting unit is Shauna Helps, looking for her first NCAA individual appearance this season. Courtney Blandon, a veteran. She's set to graduate in May in lane 3. Consistent throughout the year, scoring points for the Hokies. That's the beauty of track and field. You can finish 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, contribute to that team total. Just ask Virginia Tech last year how important each and every point is. Time to beat 23.30 for an ACC championship. Helps on the outside. Seymour, the talented freshman, in lane 5. Keep an eye on Tori Robinson for Clemson in lane number 4. Around the corner they come, and it is Seymour for Florida State. A Seminole sweep. Seymour across the line, 22.85. Look at the reaction from the freshman. Holy cow.
Number 2 in the country for the freshman.
Oh, man.
Even Shauna Helps can't believe it.
Tell me this track isn't fast, right? Wow. Oh, she's beside herself.
Tied for number 8 now for Shauna Helps. Number 2 in the country for Seymour. Tremendous performances in the sprints here from Florida State. They are coming through in a big way.
Katia Seymour was so smooth on that back straight, and she came into this turn with a nice lead, and I thought, well, how's she going to bring it home? She's got to be tired. She ran the 60 earlier. She really dug deep in the last 50 meters. You see her really breathing hard and chugging, but it was just such a smooth run and a fantastic reaction. If we give out another award for reactions after crossing the line, she might win that one too.
Ladies and gentlemen, at the award stand, Coach Phillips.
These Florida State sprinters are something else. So young, so talented. And the Seminoles have another champion, Katia Seymour, 22.85, smoking around this track today.
And we can see her run again in the 4x4. She's run on some relays for this team as well, but wow, she just doesn't look like a freshman. She's so smooth, and that's what I noticed yesterday in the prelims in both the 60 and the 200 meters. She just really holds it together really well. And you look at some of the records. Mariel Ahure of Miami, clear back in 2009, 22.80. Shakima Wembley last year, 22.83 on an oversized track. Deanna Hill from USC this season has run 22.82, and the freshman 22.85.
A Virginia Tech sweep in the pole vault earlier today, and it's the Hokies claiming a ton of team points in that event, something they were heavy favorites coming in, Dan, and they certainly lived up to it today.
Well, they certainly did, and you just saw it really quickly down there to the lower right of your screen. It was former Virginia Tech All-American coach, All-American Bob Phillips in his 34th year as a coach of the Hokies pole vaulters, and they sweep today. He's just had so much success.
Virginia Tech making a move in this third and final day, not just in the field events, but in the 800, an event that they have dominated through the years. This time, it's Neil Gorley across the line. He's with him.
Neil, a personal best for you in the men's 800. What did you learn from yesterday to improve on for today?
Yesterday was somewhat of a kind of recovery day because I'd come back from the DMR, which was a hard effort on Thursday night. So it was a case of just surviving and advancing, to be honest, yesterday. And I'm glad that, because I was a little sluggish, I felt better today.
Well, right before your run, your teammate, Rachel Pokratsky, takes the first in the women's 800. How did that motivate you?
I mean, we as a team just feed off each other. Rachel's just in great shape this year, and she's been getting better every race. So it's really inspiring to see your teammates do well, and it only wills you on more like it did for me today.
Congratulations.
Thanks very much. Appreciate that.
Thank you very much, Hannah. As we move into the men's 200-meter dash, again, like the women, one of two heats in the finals. The ACC championship record back in 2000 was Sean Crawford. And it's an intriguing field. We'll have a new champion this year. Daryl Haraway won the event last season. He's out with an injury, so you have last year's runner-up back in Cordell Lamb. And then last year's bronze medalist in Gregory Childs representing Virginia Tech. Both those runners will be in this first section with Alex Sands in lane 3, Jabari Michael Kinsu from Pitt, lane 4, and then Lamb and Childs, lanes 5 and 6.
Well, Lamb, second in that 400 meters. Like we said, just less than an hour ago, we knew some of these athletes were going to be doubling back. We'll see what kind of fitness level he has to come out here and run hard in this race. He ran a 20.94. Only one of three athletes yesterday that were under 21 flat. He had the best time. He's got the best time, preliminary time in this heat. Preferred lanes 5 and 6. Lamb and Childs are your fastest qualifiers in heat 1.
And team-wise, now Virginia Tech inching their way into the conversation. They are only 4 points down on Florida State. So big points from Childs could make a big difference. Ewers in the next section for Florida State.
Men's 200-meter dash, first of two heats. Lamb, lane 5. Childs, lane 6. Michael Kinsu for Pitt. And Alex Sands of Clemson in lane 3. As they make the turn, Michael Kinsu with the lead. But here's Sands on the inside. But look at the speed of Lamb. And it will be Cordell Lamb, last year's runner-up, across in a time of 27.4. And he just keeps on running.
Okay, I won't question his fitness. He's in great shape. Wow, outstanding run. Personal best, 20.74. Everybody showed up here at the right time to run really fast at these championships. Everybody's stepping up. Wow.
Equal to number 12 in the country there for Lamb.
Michael Kinsu of Pitt at 21.10. Childs of Virginia Tech trying to score some points at 21.20. But it was Cordell Lamb.
Well, and I think the biggest advantage that these Clemson athletes have is they've run these turns, and the toughest transition to make on an indoor track is from the bank turn to the straight. You can come off that turn and you can stumble a little bit. Some of the other athletes have done that with 50 meters to go, but not these Clemson Tigers.
He just was really feeling good. You could tell when he got to the turn, that second turn, he just started to really move it in a different way. Like, I know I've got it, I feel good, I'm going to go after it, and he did.
Second heat, Jones, Roundtree, and Pitt will be in lane 3. Shannon Patterson, North Carolina State, the senior, yesterday a 21:06 time. Andre Ewers of Florida State and Dylan Peebles of North Carolina State. So we saw Ewers earlier in the 60 meters. Florida State went 1-2. What do you expect from Ewers in the 200?
Well, I wouldn't expect anything less than we just saw in the women's race. Is this the freshman to just blow it up here? He's going to go all out. He's 60 meter runner-up, same as Katia Seymour. She was a runner-up, and she came away with a gold medal in the 200. I think he's really going to go after it. He doesn't have that tape on his knee today, which means to me that he's feeling pretty good as he sets his blocks. I'm in the restroom there for a minute, and they're humming the Tomahawk Chop in there. I think Florida State athletes know that they have a chance here to put a little bit of distance between themselves and Virginia Tech going into these last couple of events today. So, certainly I'm interested to see how fast Ewers can go. Dylan Peebles is probably going to be his biggest competition on the outside, but they've got their work cut out for him. 20.74 was just a little bit slower than actually Ewers ran yesterday. He went 20.72, so he's certainly capable of winning this race.
Good look at Dylan Peebles, the sophomore from Raleigh, so he is a homegrown product for the Wolfpack. He's a great training partner and fellow sophomore, Cravon Charleston. He was a Pan American Junior Championship qualifier this past summer. At the fastest 200-meter time during the regular season in the ACC, so he has some speed. He's been part of that dominant 4x1 outdoor squad the past couple of years for North Carolina State. Naheem Himes, Peebles, Charleston, some guys who can flat out fly.
We'll see Peebles come back and run in the 4x4, and he's got a lot of experience. USATF Junior Championships 2017, he won the silver medal in the 200 meters. And just love kids who can run at the national level, get that kind of experience, and then bring it into college and contribute immediately.
.74, the time to beat. Outside speed in this race with Ewers and Peebles. Peebles in lane 6, but look at Ewers as they hit the curve in the bank. The junior transfer from Florida State with the lead as they head to the straightaway. Ewers of Florida State not going to be denied across the line. 20.61. He is your ACC champion.
Number 6 in the nation there. Ewers, he flew out of the blocks. That was a very quick start on that curve, and he never slowed down.
Well, another impressive run by the runner-up in the 60 meters. I keep thinking he's a freshman, but he's a junior college transfer, but outstanding. And it's just, from the first step, you could just see the intensity. And that's why I say the guys in the Heat 2 have a little bit more of an advantage. They know the time they need to beat. They know the effort level that they need to go into in their race. There you see the time for Andre Ewers. But man, he had a big lead. He had a 3 or 4 meter lead on the field, and I thought, he's gonna die. He's gonna shut down a little bit, but he managed to just work hard. Same as Katia Seymour. They run those Florida State Seminoles. They run smooth, and then they go to the big arms. Big arms, big posture down the stretch to bring them home.
How scary would it be if they had a healthy Darrell Harroway this indoor season?
We can begin to see why, Dan, that Coach Bob Raymond said we're probably going to be better outdoors if they get Harroway back healthy to mix in with that group.
Well, they had some javelin throwers and some discus throwers as well.
A young man that moved to the United States at the age of 12 from St. Elizabeth, Jamaica. He was a prep standout at Piper High School, where he was a Florida 4A runner-up in the 100 and 200. Really blossomed late in high school. Started his career at the junior college ranks, where he won the 100-meter national championship last year. He earned 11 All-American honors between his indoor and outdoor seasons at the junior college level, both for South Plains, Texas, and most recently Butler. And now he has brought his speed to Tallahassee, a runner-up in the 60, an ACC championship gold in the 200 meters. Shauna helps Katia Seymour, posing for some pictures, shots that they're going to remember the rest of their life. And you remember these conference championships. It's a long season. You put in those hours, the sweat, the discipline of the workouts, and now a chance to showcase your skill in front of a national television audience with ESPN and the ACC network. Just a great showcase of talent in this conference. We take a look at the women's 200 and the duo of Seymour and Helps.
Well, that lane 5 has been a lucky lane for a number of different people in this 200 meters. Cordell Lamb ran well there. There's Katia Seymour. Andre Ewers had lane 5 as well, so I guess it's pretty easy to say what the preferred lane is. But a very happy freshman and a big personal best is down with Hannah trackside.
Katia, we just spoke not long ago after the women's 60 meter. Now you win the women's 200 meter. What was your strategy?
Mostly just getting out and doing what I have to do. I'm an outdoor girl, so I'm used to the 200, but not in indoors. But I knew my teammate, she was going to go out hard and she was going to try to win too. So therefore, I'm like, okay, I should just do what I got to do and just run it how I should run it.
You're now not only an ACC champion, but you're also a true freshman heading into each of these races. What have you learned?
Just executing, believing and trusting the process, believing my coach and believing my team as in what we can do, what we can accomplish.
Good luck to you the rest of your career.
Thank you.
With 3 events remaining, Florida State has moved to the top in both the men and the women. Athletes like Seymour and Ewers propelling the Noles to the late lead as we wind down from Clemson. Welcome back to the 2018 ACC Indoor Track and Field Championships, the first of 2 heats in the women's 3,000-meter finals taking place. Sean Kinney alongside David Mitchell. And first off, David, break down what fans can expect with these 3,000s here today.
Well, in the 3,000s, we actually do have two true sections. So this is the slower seeded section right now. They have qualified during the season to run in this race, but they are not among the top 16 qualifiers, which will all be going in the second section. So these ladies are running for personal best. They're running to try to bust in to a place, but it's not as likely that they have that level of performance to get up on the stand. So they want to finish their season well here.
So the 3,000 taking place, and in the broadcast booth, we'd like to welcome Mark Elliott, the head coach of Clemson. He is with us. And Coach, what a great environment. I'm sure it's great to have the ACC indoors back here. 4th time that Clemson has hosted it. The first time, though, since the renovation of the bank track.
Oh yeah. You could see the original track below the new renovations. But we're so excited to have one of the tracks in the country that everyone is talking about.
Can you believe the times that you're seeing over the last 3 days?
Well, over the time, my 5 years in the ACC, I can see, it's getting better and better throughout all the events. And our track so far this year and last year when it came online yield a lot of fast times. So that was expected, at least from our staff.
And it's been really good for your own team in addition. Tell us a little bit about some of the great performances you've had today. If you could start out with Jeremiah Green in that triple jump.
Well, Jeremiah is a graduate student, and he came in to do his degree. And, we know how good Jeremiah was, at his previous school. So he's what we call a gamer. And, he came in ranked number 3 and then pulled out the win. So I guess there's some advantage to being at home.
Have you seen that with some of your other runners, too, that they seem to be shining a little bit brighter because of the home support and the familiarity with the facility?
Oh, yeah, sure. I mean, if you take every event, the 800 men and women just now, having 2:03, some of the top times in the country, and John Lewis, and, the 400 meters, Jeffrey Green. Finally, his second time now I can say that's his actual PR, breaking 46. And Jeffrey Green, I may have to check it, but he's 4-time ACC champion from his freshman year until now.
I want to talk about the 400s because, you look at what you have been able to do in that event, whether it's the 4x4 or the open 4. This has become 400U in the ACC.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's, I'm from a pretty good stable of having a full track team, and we're fortunate to have great athletes in our team, and our coaches does a very good job, and it's a collective effort, and it's very good to see it at home, entertain the spectators and hopefully keep growing the sport locally and hopefully have some influence nationally too.
Tell us a little bit about Grace Barnett finishing up. She's been so important to your program and elevating that distance program, and she ran another really gutsy performance in that mile.
Well, I always say this, Grace Barnett is one of those athletes that make you enjoy the sport of track and field. She was a walk-on athlete. I didn't know, I won't want to take credit for recruiting her here, but to see where she came from until now, she's like the common denominator of our group, and we're proud to have her and always proud of her, and that's the nature of track and field.
Will she be coming back in the 3,000, or was that mile her final event of the day?
No, well, we have her in the 3K, and that's going to be her call, and I know that's going to be easy. She's going to want to go, and as it stands right now, it looks like there's still a chance on the women's side on the team title, so we're going to try to go for that.
Mark, we're going to keep you here, and we were talking about the blazing speed and the times that we've seen. Let's go back to just a few moments ago in the men's 200 and the junior college transfer from Florida State and Andre Ewers just blowing by in this far turn and down the straightaway. An impressive time by Ewers. He's an ACC gold medal winner, and he's with Hannah Yates.
I'm standing by with Andre Ewers of Florida State. Andre, your second award of the day. How did you switch up your strategy for this race?
There wasn't really a strategy. I've been locked in since last night, I know I'm a lot stronger than I was last year. So my mindset for the 2, just go out, execute, and let God reveal the result.
You've been dominant in races throughout the ACC this season. How did you keep focus mentally?
I keep focus mentally because I haven't done anything amazing yet in my eyes. I still got NCAA Nationals, and this is my 3rd meet, so I'm not race sharp yet, as I would call it. So I'm looking forward to see what I do in 2 weeks.
Congratulations. Good luck to you in the future.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Hannah. And when you see transfers coming in, you spent a good number of years in the SEC with LSU. Talk about the big picture of the ACC and where it's grown in your 5 years here at Clemson.
Well, and I can speak from both sides of it, like you said. I can see the ACC, on the equal level we're there with a conference like the SEC, and now I see the depth in all the events, how the difference it was with the SEC and now the ACC. So, I would say the conference, in my opinion, not being biased, being in the ACC, you see some super talent, just like the young man that just spoke a while ago about his race.
You've done such a remarkable job with Clemson in your 5 years. You guided the women to an ACC title a couple years ago. What was the key for you when you arrived here at Clemson? What did you want to imprint as far as bring to this program to take it to the consistent level that you're enjoying now?
Well, just coming from a program that was pretty successful, I just wanted to see the support that we have from our administration. And as you can tell, you're looking at a facility. It's very rare within 4 years you get a facility like this as a new head coach. So the support is there. You know, it's very easy to recruit to a school like Clemson. You know, strike a very good balance in terms of academics and athletics, and we have some great kids on our team, and we want to keep building and win some titles when, of course, it presents itself.
Well, you mentioned your staff as a whole. Can you speak to that a little bit about how they've played a part in building up specifically this year's team?
I know most of the time, you know, the head coaches get all the credit, but, you know, our staff work tirelessly in recruiting, coaching. You know, staffs that I have here are people that have been with me for a while, or Coach Graham that just came in. I used to recruit from his high school while I was at LSU. So it's familiarity. I know how good the coaches are, and you know, come together on a championship run like this, and you know, that's the reason. That's one of the reasons why you do it.
Well, Mark, we appreciate you stopping by. Congratulations on the job well done hosting the ACCs. I need to go buckle my seatbelt. Your 4x4 men's team is coming up, and that's usually a good thing. Best of luck in that race.
All right, I appreciate it. We'll look for a national qualifying time out of that, too.
Let's hope so.
Thanks,
Mark
Coach.
Elliott, head coach with the Clemson Tigers, as we continue our coverage from Clemson, the 2018 ACC Indoor Track and Field Championships. The final few meters of the unseeded 3,000, 9:36.30 for Lauren Berman, the redshirt sophomore from Virginia Tech, appearing in her second ACC Indoor Championship. She ran the mile a couple of years ago, did not compete last year. She utilized the redshirt. That name might be familiar for Hokie fans. Her sister was Jared Berman, the former Hokie All-American steeplechase runner. Lauren Berman and that Berman family, successful runners at Virginia Tech, and she crosses the line 9:36.30. And her brother certainly proud of that time. Bailey Davis, Louisville, finishing second. Sam Shields and Ann Den Otter rounding out the first four in the women's 3,000. As we look ahead, David Mitchell, to this second section. Ellie Hennis is an athlete we haven't talked about because this is the first time we've seen her, and for North Carolina State, the talented sophomore, big expectations. She's had a wonderful indoor season and a cross-country year as well.
She sure has, and right now she comes into the NCAA ranked number 3 at the 5K. She's choosing her team's choosing to have her just run this race so that she can move up on that list. But she's very strong. The top 3 seeds coming in here all got their qualifying time in the same race at the Camel City meet, finishing less than 7/10 of a second between the 3 of them. So it was Ellie Hennis, who was out in front, Morgan Isley of Tar Heels of North Carolina, and Caroline Alcorta, her teammate, all came in together. So they're joined by a number of other strong runners. The ACC cross-country champion Paige Stoner of Syracuse, the surprise winner of the 5K, somewhat surprise, and runner-up in cross-country, freshman Dorcas Wasike of Louisville, who's out there really trying to make a difference team-wise, as well as any of the Virginia Tech runners, Syracuse runners as well, mixing in here. So Jessica Harris of Notre Dame is listed. We're not sure if she's going to come back from that mile or not. We see Grace Barnett, as Coach Elliott said. She was runner-up. But really, I think the one that we want to keep a special eye on will be the anchor of Virginia Tech's winning distance medley, Sarah Edwards, who was the ACC steeplechase champion. She also won the USATF Juniors and the Pan Am Juniors. She's really kind of showing that she's capable of a lot more than what she's shown before. Her anchor time on that distance medley was almost 8 seconds faster than she'd ever run for a mile before. So she could easily be a factor here at this 3K distance, a distance that's much more familiar to her.
You see Ellie Hennis getting loose in the center of that pack. You talked about the discussion whether to go 5,000, 3,000. Take us inside that coaching room and the conversations that happen when an athlete decides what course to take come the conference championships.
Well, Ellie ran a really good 5K again just a week ago. That's a lot on a body to come back-to-back weeks to do that. But I think really it's all about getting the qualifying mark for the NCAA. She's in pretty good shape, coming in ranked number 3. in that 5K. She doesn't have that kind of status right now. She's not in the top 16 here for the 3K. This is the moment for her to get that time. So I don't think we're going to see a race that's all about trying to get the win. If nobody else pushes the pace, Ellie Hennis is going to push the pace to try to get out there and get her qualifying mark.
Paige Stoner and her seeding mark of 8:59.60. It's been a quick turnaround for Stoner. She was a competitor yesterday. What do you anticipate from her?
She is one that we saw. She's going to be best served by pushing the pace in the middle of the race, by not trying to let it come down to a kick. There are some kickers in here, Sarah Edwards of Virginia Tech, Grace Barnett of Clemson, that if they're in it near the end, they're going to be very dangerous. We saw Dorcas Wasike could really finish the end of a race too. So Stoner, her strength is going to be pushing early. She'll be right up there with Hennis. If she's feeling good today, she'll be up there pushing that pace early in the race.
Runners are set, and we're underway. The women's 3,000. The team race, just to get you a picture for the women, with 14 of the 17 events scored as we start this 3,000 meters. Florida State with 88, Louisville with 68, Clemson 63, both North Carolina, Virginia Tech each with 55.
So a lot can still happen here. Certainly Florida State feeling good about where they are. They are not looking like they're going to be a factor at all in this race. Milica Mercheva, who was a silver medalist in the 5K, is listed as a competitor here. She could be a scorer for them again, though. Certainly wasn't necessarily thought to be one of the top three in that 5K and came up with a medal. So we'll have to find out where she factors in here.
You start to work some quick math as we get down to the nitty-gritty of this year's championships. Florida State on the women's side leading by 20, Louisville, Clemson, North Carolina, and Virginia Tech. We've been down this road before. Wasike comfortably sitting in that number 2 spot. We watched her yesterday near the top of that 5,000, control the tempo, control the race, and make her move.
It's Dominique Claremont out in front for NC State. She's a freshman. She was the number 1 runner on their ACC champion cross-country team. Ellie Hennis hanging back right now, a little bit into the middle of the pack, basically. There are quite a few NC State teammates in there with her, so the Wolfpack we could see this might be partially what we saw in some of the earlier races, where one of them goes out and sets the early lead and the others move up later.
Yeah, these are good distance runners for the Wolfpack. When you're talking Erica Kemp, Ryan Frazier, these are ladies who have had success in these distance races.
Right, Kemp, we didn't even mention, is the defending champion here. She is certainly a factor, most capable. Ryan Frazier, 4-time high school national champion, grew up right there in Raleigh and had just a fabulous high school career, and is really coming into her own now this season for the first time in college.
It is Ilse of North Carolina. Best mark coming into these ACC.
So it's Carolina Alcorta up into 3rd. The steeplechase champion from the conference and Pan American Junior Gold medalist Sarah Edwards is in 4th. She is somebody to definitely keep an eye on. If she's still hanging around later, she's running with tremendous confidence right now.
25th best in the country.
Sarah Edwards, gold medal winner at the USA Junior Outdoor Championships in the 3,000-meter steeplechase. A ton of talent competing in her first ACC indoors.
And Edwards herself is one of those great human stories. As a young teen, she was diagnosed with a very rare brain tumor. It was treatable. She survived that. The pressures of running now don't seem to be pressures when you face something like that in life.
Claremont still leading. CK of Louisville in the number 2 spot. Alcorta in number 3. The senior from Springfield, Virginia. And let's talk a little North Carolina distance. Morgan Isley and Caroline Alcorta. These two have worked so well this indoor season together, helping each other out. We've seen examples of that throughout the course of the season, and now can they work it here in the 3,000.
Just as you mentioned that, Isley started to move through the pack a little bit to see if she can't close in on Alcorta. It's Ellie Hennis now, who we believe is going to be our favorite, wearing a hip number 3. She's now up into 4th, right on Alcorta's shoulder, next to Sarah Edwards.
9 laps to go. We'll take a quick break. Back with more from the women's 3,000 after this as our coverage continues from Clemson on the ACC Network Extra. Florida State has moved to the top on the men's standings with 2 events remaining. The Seminoles get a first place finish from their shot put thrower. So Florida State with 111 points. Virginia Tech second with 90. It becomes a 2-team race with the 2 events remaining. As we go back to the women's action on the track with 5 laps to go, and we've seen Ellie Hennis make her move in the last 400 meters.
Hennis now has taken the lead. Her teammate still up there with her is Claremont. We see the silver medalist, Milica Mercheva, for Florida State, now moving up, as is the gold medalist in the 5K, Dorcas Wasike, on the move. Still in that pack is Sarah Edwards, the anchor of the gold medal distance medley, and Paige Stoner now moving up. She was the silver medalist in cross country. I'm sorry, the champion in cross country and the bronze medalist at the 5K. So it's loaded with talent up there, and still pretty much anybody's race. We'll see when Hennis decides to make a move to try to break the pack, who is actually able to go with her and who is not able to make that transition at that point.
Alcorta sidewinding her way around Mercheva into that number 3 spot for North Carolina. Mercheva is a great story. She was a late arrival to Florida State back in the fall of 2016 after representing Bulgaria in the marathon in the 2016 Olympics in Rio.
So definitely has strength. She's won championships, Bulgarian national championships at just about every distance race imaginable, and she's on the move now. She doesn't want to be caught in that box. She is coming up to challenge Ellie Hennis right now. Dorcas Wasike just matches every move. She just wants to stay on that top 3 for now, waiting for her opportunity to strike, and she's on the outside, free of any traffic to be able to do that.
She just reminds me of a chess player. You play your pawn, I'm going to counter with my maneuver, and I'm going to stay right with you, and that's what Wasike is doing again. Hennis the leader, Wasike of Louisville second. Here comes Edwards of Virginia Tech, and now she moves into that number 2 spot. 2 laps to go.
Stoner is up there as well. Stoner knows that she's not going to want to wait till that last 50 meters to try to kick with them. She'll probably try to make a bigger move right on this backstretch right now. Hennis and Edwards out in front.
Wasike in the number 4 spot as they approach the stretch. 1 lap to go. Hennis leading, Edwards second, Stoner and Wasike in that number 3 and 4 spot. You hear the bell ring, and it's the final 200 meters of this women's 3,000.
Stoner moving well in third with our leaders, Hennis and Edwards. Edwards showed what a tremendous kick she had in that distance medley relay. I'm not sure anybody else on that track right now can go with her.
Look at Edwards. Down the stretch, around the corner, Edwards has taken the lead. Ellie Hennis says not so fast.
Wow.
The Wolfpack flying across the line. 9:18, 6:7 for Ellie Hennis, who showed no panic when Edwards torpedoed by her.
She closed in 30.35. Ellie Hennis, that superior strength, was able to come back for her as Sarah Edwards with the superior speed took the lead. Great performance by Stoner to get her second bronze medal of the meet. And Edwards goes for it. She's gone right now. It looks like she is not going to be caught. Hennis in second, being challenged by Stoner. Here comes Hennis. She turns it on and pulls away. Edwards just not quite enough legs left underneath her to respond to that last crucial move by Ellie Hennis. Wasike, the gold medalist in the 5K, finishing in 4th. So unfortunately for these runners, these were not the kind of times they probably were hoping for in terms of a national prominence getting on the list. It took something quite a bit faster than that, but it's warm in here today, and those racers were racing for the win for their teams for the conference championship. They did a great job. Ellie Hennis closing probably faster than she's ever closed 200 before, gets the win here in the 3K.
Erica Kemp, the veteran of this North Carolina State team, chatting with Hennis, and that Hennis name at North Carolina State. Good legacy in track and field. Her mother, Lori, women's cross country coach, and The Wolfpack trio all smiles as NC State captures the gold medal. Let's go back to the field events and take a look at some of the results coming in. The men's weight throw. Josh Davis, speaking of North Carolina State, 23.83. The winning toss for Davis. He is with Hannah Yates.
I'm standing by with Josh Davis of NC State. Josh, your throw in the men's weight throw, a lot of words there. You had a personal best, a meet best, a facility best, an ACC best. How did you do it?
Just practicing hard work from fall. Me and Coach had a goal. We wanted to be the best, and we just stuck with it all fall. That was really the hardest part, was making it through fall so we could start competing, and just hard work and just keeping at it. Good days, bad days, okay days, hard work.
You told me that you were even surprised by your final throw. So how much does that mean to your team overall to win this event?
It means a lot. That was 10 points, which we're currently sitting in 4th right now, and I was so glad to do that and contribute to the team, and it's been a lot.
Well, congratulations.
Well, thank you.
Please report to the awards podium at this time.
The big throwers from the ACC Championship Hardware being delegated down to the final couple of events here at Clemson in the 2018 Indoor Track and Field Championships. Is a little bit of a different shade of green than ACC schools are used to seeing, but that is the Jack Rabbit Track Club. They're located in Atlanta, and they have brought close to 40 young track stars to check out some of the top running in the country here at the ACC Championships. And Dan, we had a chance to catch up with a couple of their organizers and leaders, and what a great idea to get the young kids up here. I mean, you're right on top of the track. You get to see these Division I athletes up close and personal and see what it's all about to be a champion.
Well, they got on a bus and made a couple-hour trip to see these ACC championships, and we had a chance to talk to their coach, and they've produced a number of kids who've been youth champions, national champions, and those kids have gone on to go into the SEC and the ACC, and he said, you know, probably more kids from the program end up in the SEC, but this was a nice, close track meet. He wanted to just get the kids out here so that they could experience what does track and field look like at the next level. After you get out of high school, what does it look like? But, you know, I was kind of surprised because that green startled me, and I said, well, who are you guys here rooting for? Who are you cheering for? And they said, nobody really. We're just here to see a fantastic track meet, and they're getting their money's worth today.
And it's so important for the sport. I'm familiar with the Drake Relays, and I know when that event happens, there are over 60 high schools across the state in central Iowa that go just to give the opportunity for young student athletes to see the skill set up close like those kids from Jackrabbit are doing here today.
Well, and that's where kids get inspired. You come to a track meet like this and you see somebody run the 60 or pole vault, and maybe you've never seen it up close before, but you can certainly get inspired at it at a young age, fall in love with the sport, identify something or somebody who you might want to be like or participate in, and that's really what starts to create the next level. There's so much support here in the United States for the youth development level of track and field as well as high school and college.
Let's go back down to the field. We're down to our final 3 events to be scored on the women's side, and it is the women's triple jump. North Carolina State taking the lead there. Entering this triple jump, you have Florida State with 91 team points. Louisville in that number 2 spot with 73.
So we're through 3 rounds of jumping. We're through the flights, and we're on to the finals. First round of the finals. Our top 9 finishers that made those finals. Nika Karpenko from Louisville. She's jumped 11.66. Renata Van Tonder from Louisville. She's in the finals. Maya Hanks. She's jumped 11.87. Brianna Isles, Peyton Russell, Sydney Murphy from Duke is in the final. She's currently sitting 4th. Alexa Gannon sits in 3rd position. And Niara Hill, 2nd position with a jump of 12.54. She matched that. That was in her first round, 41.3 1/4. And Esther Bannock from Virginia Tech, just a sophomore, 12.58. She just leads by 4 centimeters, 41.3 1/4. Excuse me, this is the second flight. We're not to the finals yet. I wondered why we were seeing people with bib numbers that didn't identify yet, but our last jumper was Harley White from Clemson for her first attempt. We'll get a mark for her, 12 meters 31, 40 feet 4 inches. This is Taylor Middleton from Pittsburgh
That's held by Jacob Thompson of Kentucky.
for her first attempt. So the women's triple jump is our final field event of these championships, and Virginia Tech has some opportunities to score in this event. They've got a couple young ladies jumping in the second flight.
As you run through that list, Dan, we've had a weekend where so many freshmen have hit the stage in a big way, but there are some veterans that we're used to seeing in the triple jump. You mentioned Murphy of Duke. There's some established jumpers getting ready to compete in this second flight, as you mentioned.
We get a chance to see Peyton Simmons, just a freshman, from North Carolina. And the triple jump has been seeded, so some of the better jumpers we'll get a chance to see in this second flight.
Large gathering of runners on the track as they report for the unseeded men's 3,000 meters.
One of the things about this unseeded 3K is that it's going to be a little bit different than some of the other times. There are some really high-quality runners that maybe just haven't raced at this distance to get a fast enough time to get into that top 16 for the second section. We've got the gold and silver medalists from the mile, Vincent Ciotti and Diego Zarate, both of Virginia Tech, in here. We've got Philo Germano, who was the silver medalist behind his teammate Justin Knight of Syracuse in the 5K. James Quattlebaum, who was on that Clemson DMR that almost stole the win out of the slower heat. He was the anchor for them. So there are, just to name a few, there are some people here that have a chance to kind of get in there and get into the scoring. Mike Marsala, we saw, ran very well for Virginia earlier today, also in that mile. He's in this heat. So quality field for what we would consider normally higher quality than a normal unseeded heat.
Miami with a representative and Sean Grossman. Grossman, the senior, has the Kane School record in the 5,000, breaking his old mark earlier this year, taking part in the Power 5 Invitational.
Tim Basin of NC State comes in, an accomplished runner, but no time at this distance. So we expect to see some very competitive racing. There are some people in here with great qualifications for this race.
Kevin James in the middle, the junior from Syracuse. And we're underway in the men's 3,000 unseeded.
So Virginia Tech right now 21 points behind FSU for the overall scoring title. They've got some people in here that are top quality. We'll see what they do. My feeling is they're going to go out hard enough to put themselves in position to try to win this and then some, get up into the scoring. And sure enough, they're going right up to the front right now. 3 from Virginia Tech in the lead.
Zarate in that number 2 spot for Virginia Tech. Ciotti right sitting third, yep.
That's Fitzum Seom of Virginia Tech, freshman out in front. So again, they're kind of following a similar pattern to what we've seen. They're going to lead. They're going to have teammates tucked in behind them and see what they can do. Quattlebaum of Clemson, you can see on your screen, moving on the outside. Caleb Podorf, the freshman from Florida State, now up into that mix as well. Ciotti and Zarate, they can fly at the end of a race. We saw it in the mile. We can see it again here. So if they're anywhere near striking distance, they're going to end up near the front.
Early stages of the men's 3,000, 12 laps to go for this unseeded heat. Justin Knight and the big names of the 3,000 awaiting in our second section as soon as we wrap this one up. And You just look at Justin Knight, what he has been able to do, not just for Syracuse, but these distance races and the inspiration he has been for his success. He handles it in such an impressive way. Very humble young man.
Really think we're going to see his legend grow in this next team, too. And it is truly legendary status that he's earning for himself. We count him at 9 individual ACC titles. On the Syracuse Twitter account, they're looking at it as 14 because they've had 5 different team titles with him at the helm as well, the lead of that team. So Soyam, get some Soyam out in front now, followed by Caleb Podorf, a pair of freshmen leading the way, and the silver medalist and gold medalist from the mile lurking in 3rd and 4th.
I want to remind you, coming up today, after the men's seated final for the 3,000, it's the climax, the 4x400 meter relays, and certainly the way the team standings are shaping up, it might come down to the 4x4. You always hope that as a fan of the sport, and we certainly could be heading down that path. A little bit later on this afternoon, some late drama from Clemson.
See how the field is spread out. These freshmen are taking it out quick enough to break apart the pack, make some people work if they want to stick with them.
We'll take a break. Back with more of the men's 3,000. Coverage continues from Clemson, South Carolina, right after these messages. The unseeded men's 3,000 just a few moments ago. The true freshman Caleb Podorf of Florida State making a turn, and he maneuvers himself into that number 1 position. As we go back to live action with 4 laps remaining, Podorf trying to fend off Ciotti, who's working his way toward the right. Georgia Tech looking to make a move on the outside as well for the Yellow Jackets with Kent.
Kent is in there. Nikhil Pulamud of Duke, the junior, is tucked into that pack as well. Right now there are 6 altogether in that lead pack, but it is our mile champion, 2-time indoor mile champion, Vincent Ciotti, out in front.
Daniel Viegra from Wake Forest, for the first time working his way into the upper echelon as well. He's sitting in that number 2 spot. Ciotti is the leader as they get ready to pass a runner for the first time. We'll start to see some lapping here. So Ciotti of Virginia Tech, Viegra of Wake Forest, going 1-2 with Kent of Georgia Tech sitting in that 3 spot.
They're really going to have to fly on this last 400 meters. Based on the seed times, they're going to have to run 8:10 or better to have a chance to score. And right now they came through right at 7:10. They're going to have to go sub 60 just to be in consideration, depending on how fast that second section goes behind the prohibitive favorite to win, Justin Knight of Syracuse.
Does Ciotti have enough in the tank to get that done, David?
Ciotti has the wheels. It's a matter of whether or not he has been able to recover to do that. Coaches are imploring him down there on the floor right now. His FAT split, 7:41.48. He dropped it down to 31 seconds for that lap, his fastest lap of the race. He's going to give it all he's got for his team. He knows where they stand.
See him moves out of his way. One Hokie says, go get it. The leader of the distance, powering his way through. Ciotti down the stretch. Can he get underneath 8:10? Not quite. 8:11.02 for Ciotti.
We won't know until that race is run where that stands, but just based on the seat times, there are an awful lot of those runners at 8:10 or better coming into today. So valiant effort by Ciotti and good team running again, with Seom out in front setting the pace early and then having to get lapped actually before the end of the race. So clearly that was team tactic, trying to help out his teammates get into the scoring column. Kent of Georgia Tech up for second at 8:16.29 should not likely be a factor in the scoring at all. It'll be the question of whether or not our mile champ was able to do it with that fine kick. He closed in 29.4 on that last 200 meters.
Virginia Tech sitting in the number 2 spot with 90 points. Ciate certainly doing his role, securing team points like he normally does, hoping this last clocking will be good enough. 15 teams arrived in Clemson with one goal, to come away with an ACC title. All about the championship and the drama unfolding inside the Clemson track and field indoor facility. Virginia Tech put their name on that trophy a year ago on the men's side, and the Hokies still within striking distance. Florida State leading the way, the Seminoles with 111, Virginia Tech with 90. 2 events still to be scored, with the men's 3,000 and then the 4x4. Alongside Olympic gold medalist Dan O'Brien, David Mitchell, Hannah Yates doing a terrific job down on trackside. Sean Kinney welcoming you back. And okay, guys, you start to do a little math and you start to look ahead at what's coming up in this men's 3,000. Then we get to the 4x4. Does Virginia Tech have enough to make a push and try to catch the Noles?
Well, if we start just with this race, we come in with Syracuse having the top 3 seeds, including Justin Knight, who should not be beaten unless something goes wrong with him. So right there, they're taking up the big chunk of the scoring in terms of trying to make up a 21-point gap. It's going to be a tall order for Virginia Tech in terms of that. Dan, what do you see?
Well, I absolutely agree with you. With no more field events to go, 3,000 4x4, and you figure head-to-head, Virginia Tech, may have the edge in that 4x4, but I just don't think it's going to get to that point.
Justin Knight getting loose and ready. 9 individual ACC championships. He has 5 team championships with Syracuse, so he is looking for double digits individual titles. I mean, it's incredible. He's only a junior. How high is the sky for this young man as he continues his career?
Well, I think it's very high. He's going to be a next-level runner for sure. But what's interesting is I think what's keeping him where he's at right now, obviously he's doing great in college, but this is not a world championship year. It's not an Olympic year. So there's not a big meet on the schedule, so there's no reason for him to not stay in college. You might as well stay there, continue to get your education, continue to grow. He could probably sign a big shoe deal and run professionally right now, but he can still do that and be in college because, here we are, 2018. No World Outdoor Championship, no Olympic Games until the following year. It's going to be perfect timing for him. He'll be a senior the year before the 2020 Olympics. That's a World Championship year. He can represent Canada in the World Championships, come back as a post-collegiate, and go to the Olympic Games.
Couldn't have possibly explained that any better, Dan. That nails it right there. He loves his team. He wants to be able to stay there, and circumstances are such that he doesn't have that kind of financial pressure to not miss an opportunity that could be out there for him with the contract.
And you get that impression when you're around him. I remember last year chatting with him and just seeing his demeanor this year. He enjoys the college experience. He enjoys his teammates. We saw that yesterday during the 5,000 where he was talking during the race, during the final lap, to his teammate, encouraging him to keep up and get as high as he possibly could finish.
Yeah, it's a joy to watch him work. He's out there taking care of himself, taking care of his teammates. He represents his university well. He represents his conference well. He's representing the country of Canada well when he competes.
Well, and I love the fact that he has high expectations of himself, and he has high expectations of those people around him, and that pushes everybody. When you really challenge yourself, you challenge all the people around you.
Peter Soifer is the early leader. Soifer is a sophomore from Virginia Tech. He won the 5,000-meter title at the Music City Challenge earlier this season. Returning second-team All-American in the 5,000 last year during the outdoors, placing 9th.
He's the ACC 10K champ outdoors as well. 7th in cross-country. In the ACC level, so the number 1 man on a very strong Virginia Tech team. He's taking it right out. He wants to get into that scoring as high as he possibly can to help his team. Nahum Solomon, we saw him set a school record, finishing 4th in the 5K for Georgia Tech. he's also one of those runners that does not want to wait around for a kick. He is going out hard as well.
The men's 3,000 underway as we take a look at some field event results earlier today in the men's shot put. No surprise, Austin Droogsma, Florida State, 20 even. He captures another ACC championship, and he's standing by with Hannah Yates.
Austin, an ACC championship title for you, 20-meter mark. How important is this for your FSU team?
It's huge. I've spent a lot of time trying to just be a leader for this team and help all my teammates, no matter if they're freshmen, walk-ons, or national qualifiers. And I think seeing me preach or practice what I preach, then it lights the fire under everybody else and pushes the rest of my teammates to the next level. And it's really great to finally reach the pinnacle that I've been chasing for the last 5 years, through injuries, through everything, all the trials and tribulations that I've had to deal with in my career.
Austin, you told me that you're the only remaining athlete. You were a true freshman when FSU won the ACC Indoor Championships overall a couple years back. What have you learned since then?
Man, loads and loads and loads and loads. I've learned how to properly throw a shot put and throw it well, if I do say so myself. But it has been a long journey since the last indoor meet, or since the last indoor championship that we did get 5 years ago, and it feels good to be back in this house doing it in the same place where we won it the first time.
Well, congratulations. Good luck to you.
Thank you very much.
2014, the last time Florida State won the indoor title, and he describes himself as a leader. I know I would listen when he talks to me.
Absolutely.
Big man, strong man, bigger heart, and an ACC champion.
See, there's an example of an outstanding athlete, could have gone on to play college football and maybe even professional football, but found a love in the shot put. Former offensive lineman, turned fantastic shot putter, and 20 meters is really the standard for world-class throwing, and he's now up to that level. He can continue to improve and perform at the national, U.S. and international level.
Back on the track, they came through the halfway point about 4:07 as Nahum Solomon of Georgia Tech retook the lead from Justin Knight. Seufer of Virginia Tech continues along in third, a pair of the teammates of Justin Knight, Aiden Tooker, Elias Awani, tucking in now for fourth and fifth. So really, Seufer the best hope for Virginia Tech to try to close that team scoring gap, and it's a very strong performance here in the early going for Syracuse.
Solomon's got a little cheering section over there around turn 2. He got a big cheer when he came out for the introductions, but this guy's just been running inspired over the last couple of days, and it was sad to see him not get on the podium after all the hard work he did in that 5K.
Yeah, he busted his tail yesterday, was the pace setter for a good chunk of that race. Solomon, the school record holder in the 3,000 at the Iowa State Classic earlier this year. It's a huge cross-country season, becoming the first Tech All-American in cross-country last year. Posted the fastest time by a jacket in the NCAA championships.
Jack Joyce of Virginia Tech is in that lead pack right now, sitting in 6th place. This would be a great accomplishment for him to get into the scoring to help his team as well. Justin Knight, we know, a little surprised actually to see him go out and lead when he did. Now he's settled in. Solomon's going to go ahead and take the lead. He just must not have been satisfied that the pace was fast enough.
Well, and that's what I was going to say. He knows exactly what they ran in that first heat, and he's able to create a pace that he's comfortable with, knowing that this heat and that group up front is going to run as fast as they need to get a winner out of his section.
It's not too often that you find Florida State cheering for Syracuse, but that's the situation here. They want the trio of orange runners to get ahead of Seufer and the rest of the Hokies in this 3,000. Again, the Seminoles leading Virginia Tech on the men's side, 111-90.
They came through just over 6 flat with 800 meters to go. That means 2:10 or better is going to get them ahead of our winner from Section 1, Vincent Ciotti. That's very realistic, especially for Justin Knight, who we expect to just blow it open at any moment here, waiting to see who can go with him. His teammate Awani, now he struggled a little bit in the 5K after a long layoff, only ran 2 indoor races because of injury. He's moved up now into 4th, and it looks like he has some pep in his step.
Well, Tooker's there too, and he was one of those guys that was in that race until the very end the other night, or last night. But it doesn't look like 5K took anything out of his legs.
2 laps to go. Solomon still leading. Knight still hunting. Seufer in the number 3 spot, and the time for Knight to make his move is now. There goes Justin Knight. A little more than a lap and a half to go, and Knight takes over the top spot for the first time.
He's run 7:45. He is ranked number 1 in the NCAA. Outstanding time. He's got a lot left. He'll be able to go and match anything anybody throws at him here on this last lap.
Seufer moves into the number 2 spot. The bell is rung. Final 200 meters of the men's 3,000. Justin Knight looking for his 10th ACC individual championship. Looking over at his coach. Takes a glance back to see if there's anybody around. So calm and cool. Under poise. Another ACC championship.
Aiden Tooker into 2nd.
Syracuse with Tooker into that number 2 spot. He edges Seufer. Solomon 4th in the men's 3,000.
Just a repeat in a slightly different way of the 5K, 1-2 for Syracuse. Aiden Tooker with a tremendous last lap. He closed in 27:92. Only Justin Knight at 27:27 closed faster. Top 5 were in prior to that time for Ciotti, but Ciotti got into the scoring with his great effort from Section 1. He will finish 6th overall.
Knight, again, picking up the 3,000 meter championship. He won the 5,000 yesterday. Handshakes all around for the junior.
Big personal best there for Tooker. Freshman feeling good.
Seufer able to secure team points for Virginia Tech, along with Ciotti, as David mentioned.
That will help the cause, but it probably will not close the gap enough to be mathematically possible for them to overtake Florida State in that 4x4 coming up. It's going to be a good one.
Women's high jump held last night here at the Clemson Indoor Track and Field Facility. Let's take a look at the result. And it was Nicole Green of North Carolina with the winning jump. Hannah has Nicole in the gold medal Tar Heel in the women's high jump.
Nicole, you matched your personal best in the high jump at 1.88 m, not only yesterday to get the championship title, but last weekend as well. Coming off that momentum, how did that help you?
It gave me the confidence I needed to know that I could do it again, especially within a 6-day period. I didn't think I was going to pull it off. Like, I'm still adjusting and recovering from competition on Sunday, and I was just thinking to myself, I'm like, let's just try to get an ACC championship first, and the rest will come.
You were just telling me that you're also a pre-med student, so how do you balance studies and your athletics?
It's a lot. It's definitely time management. I'm either training for track or I'm studying, like just balancing those two. And I still try to get some free time in, but it is a lot, especially with like orgo and stuff.
Well, congratulations. Good luck to you in both of those categories.
Thank you so much.
Smiles all the way around for North Carolina in the high jump. It's the final chapter of this year's Indoor Track and Field Championships. Can Clemson go out in style? The men looking for their 4th straight 4x4. We're about to find out as coverage continues right after this. Could we be inching closer to a Florida State sweep here at the 2018 ACC Indoor Track and Field Championships, with 2 events still to be scored? Florida State with a 91, Louisville sitting with a 73 on the women's side. So the Seminoles in control with the 2 events remaining, the women's triple jump, and then this next event on the track, the 4x4.
Ladies and gentlemen, the award stand, Coach Fox will present.
It's been an exciting 3 days here at Clemson. We want to thank everybody with Clemson University.
For Virginia Tech, Peter.
Great hosting of this event. 4th time that the ACC championships have been here. As you take a look at the 4x4 and the women, Clemson a few years back, 2015. That's when they won the ACC championship. We heard from head coach Mark Elliott earlier in the broadcast. Championship record, 332.87.
When just looking back a little bit at that men's 3,000, Virginia Tech actually got 3 scorers in there. Seufer was 3rd, Ciotti from the first section was 6th, and Joyce was 7th. That actually puts them only 10 points behind Florida State. So in terms of the math, it's possible to tie.
Virginia Tech would have to win. Florida State would have to miss out on the top 8. All right, the women's 4x4. First of 4 timed finals. Virginia will be in lane 4. Wake Forest sits in 5. Louisville in lane 6. Wake Forest among these 3 schools had the fastest qualifying time coming in, a seed time of 3:49.48. Sydney Deli, Jordan Banks, Maya Hinton, Sarah Johnson, the 4 for the Demon Deeks.
This track has seen great 4x4s this year. 7 of the top 10 times run in the country have been run on this track this indoor season.
He's not.
And we're off. First of 4 time finals. The women's 4x400. On the outside for Louisville, it's Kelsey Hayward, Sydney Deli of Wake Forest, Alexis Woodley, the young sophomore for Virginia. It's been a quiet championship weekend for the Cavaliers.
Well, we expected to see them go big in some of the distance races, and they just didn't seem like they had it really across the board at these championships. Imagine we'll see them get it together for the outdoor championships and come on strong, because they have the numbers and they seem to have them in the right areas. But they miss a couple of major champions like Mia Javik from last year. He was their big thrower, Philippe. So sometimes you need that leadership like Droogsma talked about earlier.
At the first exchange, it will be Wake Forest with the lead. The Demon Deacons, Jordan Banks, the senior, taking the baton in the lead role. Louisville chasing her. The Cardinals going with Brooke Ragland. Alana Herron of Virginia, a distant third.
57.06 to 57.49 on that leadoff leg with Wake Forest over Louisville.
Well, this relay was seeded based on their entry times. You'll see the fastest certainly in that 4th heat. And you know what is a real challenge to some of these relay teams is getting to the right track meets where you can run fast times. And I think that's one of the reasons that this Clemson track has been such a great facility for people to come to. You knew that every time you came here and brought your team here, there was going to be relay teams at the end of the meet that could push you to get that national qualifier. I know teams in the West, USC and teams like Arizona State, they had to travel to Iowa State and different places just to find a good relay. A lot of teams go to Notre Dame because it's an oversized track. They can run a fast 4x4 there, but teams that came here to the big meets knew that they were going to get to the end of the meet and there were going to be challenges to run those national qualifying, those 335, 332s, 330s.
Strong second leg by Herron of Virginia put the Cavaliers back close into that number 2 spot. Maya Hinton of Wake Forest still leading the way. Alexis Gibbons of Louisville able to fend off a hard-charging Holly Sullivan as we go into the 4th and final exchange. It will be Wake Forest, Louisville, and Virginia. And look at the speed coming on the outside by the Cavaliers, and Anna Jefferson, the sophomore, blowing by. And for the first time, the Cavs are into the #1 spot.
Anna Jefferson went to Oak Park High School in Michigan, ran for Motor City Track Club. They won a number of national championships, frequently in relays with her on the anchor. She's been in that spot before and come through.
Virginia was way back, and again, it all started with that second leg from Herron. She put the Cavaliers back within striking distance, and Anna Jefferson trying to finish it. Jefferson with the lead. Sarah Johnson of Wake Forest too, but this will be Virginia. Jefferson across the line. The Demon Deacons second. Louisville crosses third. 3:45.56 for the Cavaliers.
Well, and an outstanding final leg there for Anna Jefferson. 52.89. That's really blasting.
Next up on the track will be section 2 of 4.
There we see the Virginia Cavaliers on the outside. They were the third to get the baton. And immediately, Anna Jefferson, she just floors it to get a lead. Easily passes around lane 2 into lane 2 on the flat. She's got the lead all the way. 52.89, outstanding final leg for her.
It's 26 seconds faster than they've run all year.
Took the words right out of my mouth.
Wow.
A seed time of 4:12.09 for Virginia, and today in the finals they come in at a 3:45.56. That's shaving some serious time.
Well, the team would like to do that.
Well, but it really all depends on the opportunities you get during the season to put that team together. A lot of people, a lot of teams, you're running individual races, and you don't always have those opportunities because you're trying to get qualifying times for this meet as well. So you got some 800-meter runners who come down. You got some 400-meter runners who have run a couple of events, 2-4, and maybe don't come into the meet quite as some of those other meets quite as fresh. So you don't put your best team together. But here at the championships, you find a solid 4 and you run your fastest time.
It will be a 3-team Heat 2 in this 4x4. North Carolina State scratching here, so no Wolfpack 4x4. That leaves us with Boston College in lane 3, Florida State in lane 5, Georgia Tech in lane 6. This is of significance. The Seminoles, the team leader, 91 points. So we'll see if Caldwell, Dorsett, Cunningham, and Damone can put the finishing touches on what could be a pretty special indoor season for Florida State.
And they're off for section 2, 3 teams in this race. Boston College, Florida State, and Georgia Tech.
Georgia Tech with Brianna Hayden, the sophomore, with the lead. Florida State sitting second. Janae Caldwell, Julia Barron of Boston College in the number 3 spot. And Dan, let's talk a little bit about Boston College and what they try to do in the ACC and not getting some of the top names of some of the schools like Clemson and Florida State, Miami, but yet working hard up on the East Coast and trying to get things done in the Northeast.
Well, and they certainly run indoor track up there. I've been to Boston on many occasions, and once the winter sets in, you have to go indoors. But they're one of those teams that we see that are highly prestigious from an academic standpoint. They really seem to concentrate in a couple areas in athletics. Certainly football and basketball, but they're always in the mix. And there are times when you wonder, are they in the right conference? Do they belong in the Big East? Do they belong in a conference where they wouldn't maybe have to travel as far? But they're always here putting up their best and competing as hard as they can.
Boston College leading right now with Selby, the number 2 leg here for the Eagles, the senior. Georgia Tech starting to make a move. The Yellow Jackets with Bauman. And it will be Georgia Tech into the 3rd leg with the lead. Georgia Tech, followed by Florida State and Boston College. Kimmy Cunningham, the sophomore for the Seminoles. Georgia Tech countering with Angelica Henderson. Henderson's a senior, running in her final ACC Indoor Championship. Monica Heil of Boston College, just a youngster, a freshman, in that number 3 spot.
With 8 teams left to run, it's certainly possible to get into the scoring out of this section.
Strong leg by Henderson of the Yellow Jackets. He's been able to open up a little bit of separation from Cunningham of Florida State. 4th and final exchange. Georgia Tech will have the lead, and it's up to the Yellow Jackets senior Dominique Hall. Can she bring her home for Georgia Tech? 3:45.56, the winning time of Heat 1 by Virginia. Hall, smooth stroke, opening up a large lead. Damone trying to keep it close for Florida State. McCabe of Boston College, a distant third.
3:45, Georgia Tech's seasonal best time, 3:45.27. They're sure to run faster than that today.
Hall cuts the corner. Dominique Hall, Georgia Tech, 3:45.56 the time to beat. She's going to cross the line. And the Yellow Jackets a 3:41.24, so they move into that number 1 spot with 2 sections to go.
3:45.39. And then Florida State will get third, 3:46.16. Next up on the track will be section 3 of 4.
Let's take a look at what good 4x4 handoffs look like. You see those outgoing athletes, everybody runs for 2 strides and then they reach back with their left hand. You want to face the infield. You don't want your back to the infield. You want to face in an area where you can see everything pretty much in front of you. This is where Georgia Tech took control. Outstanding 4th leg, though, for Dominique Hall.
Georgia Tech moves into the top spot at 3:41.24. Boston College at 3:45.39. Probably not likely that Florida State is going to score any points. The Seminoles at 3:46.16, and Florida State has already done their damage on the women's side. The Noles entering this final event to go along with the triple jump, leading by 18 over Louisville.
Well, they must feel pretty good about their chances, and I rightly would so as well, because we saw names originally on that Florida State list of, originally it was some of their faster sprinters that we saw on the 200 and the 60 meter, and I imagine if they really needed to load up, we would have seen Katia Seymour and Shauna Helps. Yep. Absolutely.
Yep, no doubt about it. Heat number 3, Virginia Tech will be in lane number 3. Notre Dame in 4. Miami sits in lane 5. Syracuse outside in lane 6. The Orange and Miami with the 2 fastest seed times coming in. Miami at 3:38.35. Syracuse at 3:40.78. And we're underway. Courtney Blandon, who we saw earlier today for Virginia Tech, the lead leg for the Hokies. Simone Mason, the freshman for Miami. Alexis Harper, a freshman for Syracuse. At the break, it will be Miami with the lead. Simone Mason. Pretty good Hurricane squad. You have Atherley, Rania, and Kayla Johnson as the anchor for Miami. Mason with the lead. Blandon sitting second for Virginia Tech. Notre Dame third.
Well, Miami's going to shake up the order just a little bit. We got Atherley on our list next, but that looks like it's Kayla Johnson. We'll get Michelle Atherley the multi-eventer in the next spot, and then Anna Runia. Oh, excuse me, I was thinking of a different athlete.
Yeah, they have a couple.
They do. So this is Michelle Atherley. My apologies. Anna Runia, your 400-meter hurdler, will go next, and then we'll see Kayla Johnson on the anchor leg. But I think just as a point of pride, this is an event that Miami does very well at. This is where Coach Amy Dean bases the majority of her team in that 400 meters, 200, 400 meters. And she wants to put a fantastic team out there, but she also wants to give these young athletes an opportunity to compete at these championships so that when they come back here the next year, they're going to have this type of experience.
Here comes Kennedy Dennis, the freshman for Virginia Tech. Atherley will pass the baton. Miami with the lead. Runia in the number 1 spot. The Hokies sitting second as they turn it over to Caitlin Tate. Notre Dame third. Syracuse, somewhat of a surprise here, a distant fourth. I was reading a publication last night, Lane. They were getting some comments from Coach Amy Dean and all the success that she has enjoyed at Miami, and she was talking about this young team and still trying to figure out the right buttons to push to get this team to compete at a level that Miami is used to. It takes time.
Well, it really does, and sometimes you have to figure out how to win. You have to learn how to win. A lot of these kids are so successful in high school, they come up to college and they get beaten down a little bit. The training is extremely difficult, as we see the handoff between Runia and Kayla Johnson. And so the success doesn't come as easy to a lot of these kids as their natural abilities would have taken them in high school. Now everybody's in college, everybody's working hard, everybody's in the weight room. And you got to find out where's your edges and what are the buttons you can push to get your best performances.
And as you get people graduating and new people coming in, the chemistry changes every year. So it does. It takes concerted effort to be able to put a team together and win year after year.
And let's not forget the ACC Outdoors heading back to Miami later this spring, so you know the Canes want to put on a good show. One of the freshmen who can do that is Kayla Johnson. Johnson trying to bring it home for Miami. Again, the time to beat, 3:41.24, set by Georgia Tech. Around the turn, down the stretch, here comes Kayla Johnson, and she is going to cross the line. 3:35.23, the official time, and Miami into that number 1 spot.
Tech in at 3:36.80.
Nice 3-second drop off their season best.
This is Michelle Atherley trying to bring it home to the third leg, the second leg to the third leg. Anna Runia, young lady who moved to the 400-meter hurdles and won an ACC outdoor title last year. She comes into this race relatively fresh. We didn't see her for the entire meet, but she ran a nice, hard 4x400-meter leg getting ready for that outdoor season.
Miami wins heat number 3. They move into the number 1 spot with 1 heat to go. 3:35.23 for the Canes.
Well, when I look at the next heat, the 4th and final heat, nobody in that 4th and final heat has yet to run 3:35.23. So Miami's really in good position. I imagine everybody's pulling out the stops here in this 4th heat. So we'll see something awfully close.
Duke in lane 3. The Blue Devils were extremely excited about this event coming into the weekend. They will send out Lowe, Kerr, Vinny, and Price. North Carolina, lane 4 with McNeil, Christian, Blake Dodge, and Dunstan. Pittsburgh will counter with Harvey, Newkirk, Ishmael, and Desiree Garland. And Clemson, Olivia James, Kendra Clark, Cameron McIntosh, and Felon Ferguson.
Well, Pitt opts to hold their 400-meter champion to the anchor leg. Got a chance to talk to Alonzo Webb, their coach. I said, congratulations, and he said he knew they were better than just a good relay team, that there was a champion in there somewhere, and they got her in the 400 meters.
Madeline Price on the anchor for Duke should be an interesting one. She has set so many school records, meant so much to their program. This will be her final ACC race.
And And the race for the ACC championship underway. 3:35-23. Miami with the lead. Can one of these four schools knock them off? James on the outside for Clemson. Just inside her, Morgan Harvey of Pitt as they hit the corner. McNeil of Carolina. And Duke with India Lowe, the junior.
I like Olivia James for Clemson on the outside here to start. She's a very aggressive runner. She doesn't hold anything back. Even if it cost her in the last 40 or 50 meters, she doesn't hold back, but just a real workhorse, and she's out to an early lead. Nice order by Clemson.
Yeah, Clemson's putting together both their 400 runners and then their 800 runners running third and fourth. So they got 400, 400, and then the two 800 medalists coming up on the last two legs.
A late kick by McNeil, and she will pass the baton with North Carolina in the number 2 spot. Clemson takes the lead. It's Kendra Clark after the strong opening 4 by Olivia James. Clark for the Tigers, number 1. Duke and Mackenzie Kerr hitting it hard in that number 2 spot. Clemson, Duke, North Carolina, and never count out Pitt as Newkirk starts to make her move. An event the Panthers have taken a lot of pride in through the years. It's Clark starting to stretch the lead a little bit for the Tigers. Kerr holding that number 2 spot. Pitt and North Carolina sitting 3rd and 4th. Into exchange number 3. Cameron McIntosh. What a weekend it's been for the freshman, now running the 3rd leg for the Tigers.
Distance medley relay, she had a great leg leading off, came back to get on the award stand with the silver medal in the 800 and a lifetime best. Here she is with a chance to help her team win in this 4x400.
Do these 800 runners like these 400s?
It's a treat for them.
It's half as long. You got it. And Duke's doing a good job. They need to stay close because you know Maddie Price is going to give whoever's ahead of her a really good run. So Brittany Avini from Duke, just a sophomore, doing an outstanding job keeping close contact with the Clemson Tigers.
It has become a Clemson-Duke showdown in this 4x4.
Fallon Ferguson, the anchor for Clemson, has anchored 2 Division II National Championship 4x4s for Johnson C. Smith before coming here. She knows how to get it done.
Can she get it done in the ACC Championship? It's Ferguson, the senior for Clemson. The hard-working Madeline Price for Duke. 3:35-23, the time to beat for the ACC title.
Maddie Price just needs to pace herself a little bit. The athlete in front of you is right there, but she needs to hold back a little bit. She was so tired at the end of that 400 meters. Like to see her just hold back so she does have a little bit at the end.
This would be so big for Duke. They came in, this was the event they wanted. Price trying to play catch-up. Can Ferguson fend her off? Fallon Ferguson for the Tigers, now kicking it into a different gear. Ferguson around the corner. Price trying to catch her, but it's Fallon Ferguson with this home crowd behind her. Clemson across the line and an ACC championship time of 3:32.84.
What more could you ask for? You host the meet, you win the final event.
Number 9 in the country there for Clemson, so putting them in good shape for a possible national berth. And Ferguson comes through as she has done before, just now doing it in the orange and purple of Clemson.
So when we look at that results list, season best for Clemson, season best for Duke, season best for Miami and Virginia Tech, Notre Dame, Boston College, Florida State, Wake, and Louisville, all with seasonal best and a meet record by the Clemson Tigers.
Clemson held it. Clemson now holds it again. Updated and faster this time around. Well, the Clemson men would like to see themselves finish that same way, wouldn't they?
Certainly would. A Clemson touch on the finale would be welcome here with a lot of the folks who have gathered. James, Clark, McIntosh, Ferguson, congratulations, your 2018 ACC Indoor Champions. 3:32.84, the championship time. Will it be a Clemson sweep in the 4x4? The Tigers looking for their 4th straight indoor title. Back with the drama after this.
13. The championship record is 3:07.91.
Welcome back inside the Clemson Indoor Track and Field facility. It is the final running event of the day, of the weekend, this championship weekend, the men's 4x4. Clemson has been the bully the last few years. You see their championship record time a season ago, 3:07.91. A couple of new parts this year for the Tigers, but it's still the same result, looking for their fourth straight ACC indoor title.
Windich, Green, and Saxon. For Wake Forest, it will be Bryant, Archie, Green.
Only 3 sections here of the men as opposed to the 4 of the women, so we saw people really competing for the scoring in the 3rd section out. These guys have a chance right here.
First of 3 sections. Notre Dame will be in lane 2. Boston College sitting in lane 3. Wake Forest in 4. Virginia and Syracuse. I believe Syracuse has a team, do they, guys? Did the orange scratch? I believe so. So Virginia will be in lane 5.
Well, I'm surprised Justin Knight's not running.
Virginia with the fastest seed time among these 4 schools at 3:15.20. And we're underway. The men's 4x400. Tigel for Notre Dame, Herrerius for Boston College, Caleb Bryant, Wake Forest, Jordan Willis, Virginia.
So the fastest 3 times in the country were run here at the Clemson Tiger Paw Invitational earlier this month. And the fastest time, 3:01.98 by USC, was the world record. It is not the American record. The American record, 3:01.96, was never ratified as a world record. So there was a lot of confusion that day as to what was going on with that time. And that is the best ever. If it gets ratified, it will be the world record run here on this track by the USC team.
University of Southern California.
Yes.
Well, and that's just amazing because they don't participate in a lot of indoor track and field, Sean. They don't have indoor tracks really anywhere in the state of California, and you only see them at big meets and major championships like the NCAA championships and the conference meets. So that's really kind of out of character, especially for the USC men. A lot of times you see the USC women indoors, but not the men.
Alfred Shirley for the Cavaliers.
Virginia continues to lead. The Cavaliers with Alfred Shirley. This final 200, moving into that 3rd exchange, it will be Jake Dixon, the junior for the Cavaliers. Probably going to get the baton in pretty good shape. Move being made by Wake Forest and John Archie. We've seen Archie the last couple of years. He's in the number 2 spot. So at the 3rd exchange, Virginia, Wake Forest, Notre Dame, and Boston College.
Virginia out strong here in section 1. Jake Dixon digs hard as he comes off the turn.
Dixon opening up the lead for the Cavaliers. Wake Forest still in 2. Boston College has jumped up into the number 3 spot with the freshman Kalfani Green. See if Green can keep up that pace. But right now, everybody chasing the Cavaliers and Mr. Dixon. A huge lead as Virginia gets ready to go into the anchor leg with Brandon Outlaw.
Yesterday, Outlaw in the 400 qualifying broke the freshman school record for Virginia. Today in the final, he upped it again.
Outlaw guy going through high school. He had some football opportunities. He was an exceptional running back, receiver, but he chose track and field, landed in Charlottesville, and looks like he's going to be a good one in the sprints for the Cavaliers over the next few years.
And look who's running for Wake Forest.
The Demon Deacons with Robert Heppenstall into that number 2 spot. Mr. Steady, Mr. Reliable. If you're going to pick a top 3 each meet, Heppenstall's probably a guy that you can count on.
Ended up finishing 3rd with a late surge. Kind of got himself in a bad position, but he's certainly one of the best 800-meter runners in the country.
Virginia across 3:11.76. Heppenstall and Wake Forest across the line 3:16.37.
For Wake Forest, 3:17.19 for Boston.
Virginia able to shave off nearly 4 seconds from their seed time, so that trend continues. We're seeing some faster times here in the finals today.
So it just so happens Virginia Tech, Florida State in the same section coming up. Virginia Tech has to win it out of that section. Florida State has to be shut out for a tie score at the end of the meet.
Ladies and gentlemen,
not likely, but at least they put themselves in the position of having it be possible.
Elliott of Clemson will be doing the honors.
Heat number 1, Virginia first. Wake Forest with a 3:16.37. Boston College and Notre Dame settle for 3rd and 4th. So we turn our attention to the second section. Team implications here, as David mentioned. Florida State with a 10-point advantage over Virginia Tech. Seminoles looking to get back atop the ACC indoor campaign for the first time since 2014. Demetrius Charlton, Frieri of Florida State in the 2 spot, Kenny Lane 3rd, Kyle Farrington 4th.
Florida State can put the debate to rest just by beating them head-to-head right here. There'll be no question then.
Is that in the back of their mind? I mean, it is a long shot for Virginia Tech, obviously, to get the 10 and keep the Noles off the board, but is that something that they're thinking about as they go into this?
I would think so, because you never know what's going to happen in another heat. All the teams could get tangled up and fall. You know, things have happened stranger than that. The favorite could drop the baton and other people could get tangled up, so that maybe the fastest time in this section could be the winner, even though it's not seeded to be.
And the 400 meters is an area that Florida State is, if you had to say they're weak in an area, this is where they can see some real improvement. They always have short sprinters, and they always have a couple of guys in the mile, but that 400 meter, 800 distance is not, you know, those types of runners just don't seem to end up at Florida State.
Frier on the second leg is a bit more of a distance guy, more of a mile or 800 kind of guy coming down to this.
Gregory Childs getting set for the Hokies, Virginia Tech. Childs, Brandon Thomas, Patrick Joseph, and then Michael Davenport to bring it home. Miami starts with McKinley Brown, Pittsburgh with Jones Roundtree. NC State out in lane 6, Shannon Patterson. Making an early move is Miami. McKinley Brown pumping his arms. Here comes Childs of Virginia Tech, and at the turn it will be Childs followed by Miami's Brown. North Carolina State slices into that number 3 spot with the Wolfpack, Shannon Patterson.
Well, and I'm a little surprised that Virginia Tech comes in here with only a 3:13 seasonal best. You think about the great middle distance runners they have and the great sprinters to go with it. They should be in the 3:08, 3:07 range, and Childs is off to a really good start, and he'll hand off to Brandon Thomas, who's been really a workhorse since the DMR on Thursday night.
Good handoffs all the way around as Virginia Tech with the lead with Thomas. North Carolina State sitting second, Abdur Raham Kelly. In the number 2 spot, Miami still lurking as the Canes have Henry DeLaws running their second leg.
It's 47:07 on the leadoff for for Virginia Tech. Childs there, and they put him almost a full second ahead, but now things are getting a little bit tighter again.
Movement by DeLaws of Miami. Pack coming a little bit closer to the leader for Virginia Tech. Let's see how Thomas responds. It will be Thomas on the corner. Kelly of North Carolina State second. Miami with a good leg from DeLaws for a moment into that 2 spot.
And Patrick Joseph takes the baton for the Hokies, and he's pursued very aggressively by Jabari Michael Kinsu. That's North Carolina. That's North Carolina State. Sam Krenbrink
So again, it continues to be Va Tech, NC State, and Miami. The Canes with Jalen Jones passing Crenbrink. Jones trying to catch Joseph. The anchor legs awaiting. Time to beat, 3:11, 7-6. Virginia Tech continues to hold the lead. Miami 2, NC State 3. And now the Hokies will turn to Michael Davenport.
They're 2:21.81, so unless they get tangled up, they should have the fastest time at the end of this.
Davenport, the anchor leg. Dodo of Miami in the 2 spot. NC State's Will Hoffman sitting 3rd.
But Davenport was one of those fantastic freshmen that we talked about last year and didn't quite have the indoor meet that maybe he wanted to have, but still got, he's only a sophomore, got a long ways to go, and certainly, a lot to contribute as we go into the outdoor season.
Virginia Tech needs to beat 3:11, 7-6 to keep their championship hopes alive, and they do. Davenport across the line, 3:09, 3-3. Florida State will not score points as the Noles come across the line. And all of a sudden, a little bit of drama as we head to that 3rd and final heat.
And I thought so as well. And then I peeked over our monitors down to the Clemson Tigers.
You saw the same thing. The Tigers are lurking.
Yes, Clemson Tigers. I was like, wait a minute, can Virginia Tech win this? Clemson Tigers are...
Well, you got to give Tech credit. They did their job. They did everything that they could.
Absolutely.
They shaved 4 seconds off of their season best. They won their heat convincingly. They've done, just like they did in that 3,000 where they came up big and got 3 scores to keep them within 10 points. They've done their job here again. Now it's out of their hands.
As we head down to the 3rd and final heat. Remember, in team points, if you get first place, you get 10. So Virginia Tech currently in that number 1 spot. Florida State cannot score any points in this event. So if Virginia Tech can hang on,
as we move into the
we would have a tie atop the ACC indoor, but standing in the Hokies' way of repeating as the team champion is a squad that has flat out dominated this event the last 3 years, looking for their 4th straight indoor title, the Clemson Tigers.
Well, and the women won, and the crowd is beginning to stir just a little bit. I think, this was an event that people came to see the Clemson Tigers really excel at, and they've run 3:07 with Cordell Lamb, Tolbert Lewis, and Jeffrey Green, and this is the same group that has run this 3:07. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a 3:05 out of these guys today. Very inspired running all weekend long in front of the home crowd on your comfortable home track.
Well, number one, they're not in that top group in the chance to be running at the Nationals, and they've got North Carolina outside of them. They come in with the 3:07.57 seed, so they're going to have to probably run 3:05 if they want to win this for the 4th time.
And both teams are trying to run really fast to get a spot at Nationals, and I can't think of a better place or better time to make that happen than right here.
3:06.93 right now is the 12th fastest time in the country to make it in as a relay, and we know that being number 12 after today is not safe. The SEC doesn't wrap up until tomorrow, so they need to really lay it on the line here. North Carolina will be doing the same thing.
Been a busy day for Cordell Lamb, the senior, getting loose, getting ready, his 3rd event of the day. Mentioned North Carolina, Amari Devon, Isaiah Palmer, Jaden Johnson, and then Kenny Selman. Formidable Tar Heel squad that had a seated time of 3:07.57. And we are off. So here we go. On the men's side, it comes down to this.
Well, it's a nice choice by Clemson to put maybe your most experienced runner on first leg. Just like Olivia James for the women, they put Cordell Lamb, a guy who's very aggressive, although he's run a few races today, but he knows how to make the break and create an early lead for his team here.
Able to jockey his position with Louisville's Josh Hall. Hall not backing down, though, for the Cardinals, as those two were shoulder to shoulder. Now Lamb starts to push it a little bit further. Here comes North Carolina with Amari Devon on the outside shoulder of Lamb. North Carolina, Clemson 1-2, and it will be the Tigers with the exchange first. North Carolina a little bit better handoff there as they get it to Isaiah Palmer, but the speed of Tolbert maintains the lead for the Tigers.
Well, Isaiah Palmer, just a freshman, fearless out there in that number 2 position. Tough place to put a freshman on the relay at the conference championship, but he looks like he's doing a wonderful job.
Tolbert also a freshman for Clemson, so the two of them in the same boat right now. A lot of pressure.
Virginia Tech anxiously watching, hoping for anything higher than a 309-3-3 to get the necessary 10 team points. We go into the third exchange. It will be Clemson and North Carolina toe-to-toe here, and the Tigers maintain the lead. John Lewis, Jaden Johnson for North Carolina, and look at the explosion by Johnson for the Tar Heels. Can he maintain it? Lewis, the veteran, you know he has a few surprises still in his tank.
Well, and look at him just measuring Johnson. Johnson just shot out of a rocket and passed him like it was nothing, and John Lewis, with that experience and that 800-meter strength, knows to let him go and knows that he can bring him back.
David, how's the pacing when you look at it as Clemson comes into this fourth leg?
They seem to be ahead of the pace of that 309. We'll get a good idea when we get this split.
The Tigers with Jeffrey Green. He wrapped up another ACC individual title in the 400 earlier today.
He's going to need to go into the 46s to guarantee to stay ahead of Virginia Tech. He's certainly capable. He ran 45 earlier today.
And it comes down to the final 200 meters. Clemson with the lead. Virginia Tech watching closely. The Tigers looking for their 4th straight 4x400 indoor title. Turning to their veteran, their senior leader, Jeffrey Green. Down the stretch we go to the 2018 ACC Championships. Green digging hard. Clemson has done it again. 307.78. A 45.50 split for Mr. Green.
Wow. North Carolina Selman running 45.65, pushing him to that level. Both those teams underneath Virginia Tech's time.
Clemson wins the event. Florida State does the tomahawk chop. The Noles, your team champions. What a finish. Clemson 307.78. North Carolina a 308.27. The Tar Heels, the silver medalist. Virginia Tech comes up just short, both in the 4x4 and the team race, as the Hokies settle for third.
Literally down to the last second of drama there for that team title.
Well, and if you were going to ask your coach who would you want in that position, both the Clemson coach and maybe the Florida State coach, I think everybody would have selected Jeffrey Green. You know, he's just such a gamer, and he ran so hard. And you could tell all these Clemson runners were fatigued. It was a long couple of days, long 3 days for these guys. They managed to come through every time they needed to.
Selman and North Carolina really hurt Virginia Tech by pushing Clemson as much as they did. If they were out there by themselves, it may have been harder to run that fast.
Celebration back at Tallahassee. A Florida State sweep from the 2018 ACC Indoor Track and Field Championships. We'll wrap up today's coverage, the team trophy presentation, the 4x4 winners, as we close out an exciting indoor season in the ACC.
We love it, right?
Oh, totally. I do not wish it was mid-century at all.
Or longer.
It's a great length.
Don't settle. Shop eBay for the design you really want with fast, free shipping. eBay.
This spring, give your garden and your confidence a boost. Get more nutritious soil.
Hardier your plants, and add a little color, all at the right price. Make this spring your spring. Get 4.5-inch annuals, $112 each. The Home Depot. More saving, more doing.
A new team champion has emerged from the ACC Indoor Track and Field Championships. It is a Florida State sweep, a super sweep, as Dan made that term famous yesterday. And the Noles certainly used some super sweeps to get the job done in some events.
Well, they certainly did. We saw that first through fourth finish in the long jump. That was big for them. They had some great sprinting. A little worried about them in the 400 and the 800, but man, when they get points, they pile them on, and they did a wonderful job in those jumps and sprinting events.
Seminoles are back on top the ACC Indoor for the first time since 2014. The orchestrator of Seminole Track, Bob Raymond, joins our Hannah Yates.
Coach, the first time since you said your men's have won the indoor, now overall, ACC Indoor Championships, what makes this team different from previous teams past to get this title?
Really young team, a lot of new bodies. 2014, we were top 4 in the country with some really veteran athletes, but really, really young men's team out here today. And the big surprise was for our women to win. I mean, those are freshmen winning the 60 and the 200, and freshmen scoring in the mile. The young girls doing a really good job, and so that was the surprise. And they just were on fire all 3 days. The guys had our typical knockdown, drag-out battles with Virginia Tech, like we've done for the last 20 years.
Where specifically in men's and women's events were you surprised to pick up some points?
I don't think there was a lot of surprises, but there were some turning points. The men's 60-meter, we outperformed our favorite guy. Didn't win, he lost to his teammate, so that was huge, He didn't mind losing to his teammate, so I thought we'd go 1-4-6, and we went 1-2-5. So that was a big swing. The hurdles, 2 freshmen finished 1st and 5th. That was a big swing. And then we went 1-2-3-4 in the long jump yesterday. So those were our big statement races.
How would you describe the personality and character of this winning team?
I mean, most of these kids are so new to the ACC that fortunately they didn't overthink it. They came in here and said, oh, coach says I'm supposed to win, or coach says we're supposed to run X time or Y time. But I will say this about the ACC. I've been in this league for almost 20 years. It's really gotten tough, and you don't stumble or back into an ACC championship. So I'm super proud of our coaches, super proud of our kids.
Congratulations to you and Florida State University.
Oh, thank you. Go Noles.
Thank you, Hannah. And Dan, I know you had caught up with Bob before the weekend, and he was excited coming in. He thought this could be a special year. He mentioned Edward Clark and that win in the 60, and Ewers right behind him, able to get the points in those sprinting events, loaded up in the field events as expected, and he brings back an ACC title to Tallahassee.
Well, when I saw him on Thursday, he said, we're a good team. We're a better outdoor team than we are an indoor team. But we are a good team, but Virginia Tech is going to be tough to beat. And when he said that, I thought, well, maybe he doesn't think he's as good as Virginia Tech, but things need to go right. And things went really, really right for Florida State. And, some events where they were able to score in bunches, those events weren't extremely difficult to score, and the men's long jump this year just happens to be down. And he said, look, I got a 5th guy even who had a hurt ankle. Maybe I could have swept that 1 through 5. So things did go well, but it couldn't happen to a nicer guy and a guy in whose program works so hard to achieve this success.
Let's go back down trackside. It's time now to find out who will be this year's ACC Indoor MVPs.
Ladies and gentlemen, now it's time to announce our women's MVP of the 2018 ACC Indoor Track and Field Championships. This year, your track MVP is from Florida State, Miss Katia Seymour.
Ladies and gentlemen, joining her as the field MVP for the Cardinal, Miss Amani Henderson.
Ladies and gentlemen, we do have a lost driver's license, New York State, for Hillary Grace Left. If you can come to the bottom of the steps. Hillary Grace Left by the merchandise stand, New York State driver's license, please. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, we'd like to present our team trophy to our champion. On the women's side, it was Boston College with 9, Wake Forest with 10, Georgia Tech finished with 14, Pittsburgh 26, Syracuse had 27.5, Notre Dame with 31, Virginia with 34.5, NC State with 36, Miami with 48, Duke with 48, North Carolina finished 5th with 61, Clemson and Louisville both tied for 3rd with 73, the Hokies of Virginia Tech 2nd with 81, and your team title goes to the Seminoles, the Lady Noles of Florida State with 91 points. Congratulations to the
Florida State presented the team trophy. And Dan, it's interesting. We saw last year in the outdoor season, Virginia Tech sweep the team titles, winning both the men and the women. Now in the indoor, here in 2018, it is Florida State. Not a coincidence that both programs have success at the same time.
No, and I really think it's about momentum. You know, team momentum coming into this meet. I think the same can be said about Virginia Tech outdoors. You know, when you're a coach and you coach teams like this, you expect to win. I think your athletes expect to do well as well. We talked about, you know, it was going to be a real tight race between 4 or 5 teams on the women's side, but actually it was a runaway win by Florida State on the women's side. But I love what Bob Raymond said. This conference is getting better, and you don't win these championships by accident.
Let's go back down to the track. Join Michael Caldwell as we find out this year's men's MVPs and the presentation of the team trophy.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, at this time we'd like to introduce you to the MVPs of the meet on the men's side. Let's start with the track MVP. Representing Syracuse with 20 points, Mr. Justin Knight.
I get to come on your team?
Ladies and gentlemen, a big round of applause for your track MVP, Mr. Justin Knight. Joining him this year as an MVP for the 2018 ACC Indoor Track and Field Championships in the field. For the Noles of Florida State, Mr. Armani Wallace. Ladies and gentlemen, your track MVP, Armani Wallace of Florida State. All right, gentlemen, we won't make you wait any longer. Finishing on the men's side with 9 points is Pittsburgh. Wake Forest had 11. Miami with 21. North Carolina with 23. It was Duke 25. Notre Dame with 35. Georgia Tech with 37. Louisville with 44. Virginia with 49. NC State with 52. Syracuse 62. Clemson 76. In second place, Virginia Tech with 107. And taking home the title and joining the ladies for Florida State, the Seminoles with 111 points. Ladies and gentlemen, Florida State wins both the men and women's ACC Indoor Track and Field Championships.
A happy bunch of Florida State Seminoles. Congratulations, Coach Bob Brayman and Florida State. The men's and the women's take care of business. They claim the ACC championships in 2018. Sean Kinney, Dan O'Brien, David Mitchell, and Dan, let's start with you. When you look back at these last 3 days, what will you take away from this year's ACCs?
Well, that the ACC conference is always changing, and I was so surprised it, almost was a completely different 8 women in the 60 meters this year than it was last year, and that's what you can come to expect from this conference. It's constant turnover, freshmen coming in, contributing, sophomores that make big leaps from one year to the next. And like I said earlier, I love what Bob Brayman said, is this conference is getting better. And they're going to be a factor at the national championships, and they're going to be more of a factor the next year.
So exciting to see the youth star like they did the past couple of days. David, a little more than 24 hours ago, we started the conversation with you talking Justin Knight, Rachel Pokraski. Both certainly did not disappoint. We just saw Mr. Knight collect another MVP award of this indoor championship.
They came through big time. Justin Knight really has legendary status. He keeps doing the job. He keeps bringing other people along with him. He's just going to be somebody that the ACC talks about for decades yet to come, and he's got more ahead of him, more accolades. That was by individual count 10 titles, by team and individual count now 15 titles for him, and lots ahead. He's got a great future in the NCAA level as well. And really the other thing that I take away from it is Clemson used the home track advantage to the fullest here today.
Certainly a lot of fun, and now these teams take a quick pause, and then they move forward to the outdoor season. Safe to say the Noles have the target on the back?
Oh, absolutely. And Virginia Tech's going to be a factor as well. But I'm looking forward to going to Miami. Miami's going to want to, do something special down there and that Amy Deem squad. So it's going to be exciting.
We've had a lot of fun here in Clemson. That's going to wrap up this year's coverage of the ACC championships. For Dan O'Brien, David Mitchell, Hannah Yates, who's been trackside, I'm Sean Kinney saying so long from the Tigers Indoor Track and Field Complex, where after the completion of our championships, it's all Florida State. The Seminoles crown this year's men and women's champions. To watch this track meet as well as other on our family of ESPN networks, be sure to log on to watchespn.com or download the Watch ESPN app. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. Good night from Clemson.